This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Thank you, Patty. Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, April 14th. I'm Tori here with Brandon and Erica. Let's get started right away. We are continuing to follow the fallout from the shooting death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. Prosecutors will now charge the officer involved, Kimberly Potter, with second-degree manslaughter. Police say she shot Wright after mistakenly grabbing her gun instead of her taser. Now, the address of the officer's house was leaked online, and DailyMail.com got video of barriers barriers and fencing being put up around it. Meantime, Wright's family held a joint press conference with their attorney Ben Crump, along with George Floyd's family outside the courthouse where Derek Chauvin is on trial, demanding justice for both families. And for a third night, protests continued after the 10 p.m. curfew. There were some confrontations with police, leading to more than 70 arrests. We're also learning a little bit more about the warrant that was out for Daunte Wright. According to court records, it was related to an armed robbery case. I want to ask you guys thoughts on the charges, second-degree manslaughter. What do you think, Erica?
I think we're tired. I mean, every time we get asked questions like this, it's like, well, what are you supposed to say
I know.
when a man is unjustifiably murdered? What is the appropriate? What are we saying the appropriate thing is now?
Right.
Are we waiting on these on the verdict for the Chauvin trial to find out how much a black man's life is worth? I mean, well, let's just see. We're quantifying.
Oh yeah,
now,
we are.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's see what the numbers turn out to be that this country has put on the lives of black men and women.
And Erica, your meekness just now, your control just now is what I've been talking about for a long time. Like even yesterday, with not talking with frustration or talking with anger, is talking with this wait and see, you know, type of mentality. Because honestly, Tori, when you think of this and you think of like what just happened, like you already know, like we kind of already know what we're going to see, how they're going to obviously criminalize the young man. The young man had a past, obviously, but at the end of the day, Tori, if you're in a war zone and you shoot someone accidentally or there's some sort of discharge, you go to Leavenworth. You know, there's rules of engagements in war zones, so there has to be some sort of accountability. Manslaughter, I think, like taking my emotions out of it, yes, I think some sort of manslaughter should be on the table right now as they continue to investigate. Maybe we get into murder charges, maybe we do not. You know?
Yeah, what's interesting is what you said is like Rustin Chesky, the man who shot 7 times at Jacob Blake, making him paralyzed, was completely exonerated yesterday.
Yeah.
Like let's not forget that during all these trials, we're seeing what you're saying played out as like, okay, what possibly could be an answer? We didn't even finish the Derek Chauvin trial before they shot someone else in the same state. So at some point, I know what you mean. It's like there's nothing to say because sometimes there isn't any accountability. I also want to bring up the fact George Floyd's girlfriend was Daunte Wright's teacher.
Wow.
I cannot get over that fact. And
well, it means that it's just closer and closer in proximity. That it is possible for you in your lifetime to lose a significant other and a child that you mentored or helped through. It's possible for that to converge on one person
in the same time.
That's how common
it is.
Right.
And if you didn't know, Emmett Till, who of course was beaten wrongfully to death, was babysat by Fred Hampton, who is the Black Panther who was shot by the police, his mother. So there's a real connection between community here of like, it's going to happen and then it's going to happen again in your community. It's insane.
And for a brief second, it felt like for a week or 2 weeks during the Derek Chauvin murder trial, when the prosecution was having their testimony, like I said, we saw medical experts testify. We saw the blue line be crossed. And then now this happens again, and now you're waiting again. You're in that state of disbelief, but honestly, you're just waiting to see what happens because there's no emotion that you can feel right now that technically is going to be right.
Yeah, and they did raise the thin blue line in Minnesota at the Brooklyn City Center for a little bit on their flagpole, the police officers, and I think that blue wall, I think, in my mind, should come down. If you're a police officer, we'd love to hear directly from you or a spouse of one. Not all cops are bad, but we do need to get rid of murderous cops, in my opinion. Well, we're going to switch gears here to a really big story in the entertainment world. Big left here turn. Former Bachelor and NFL player Colton Underwood made a big announcement on GMA this morning. Take a look.
I've ran for myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time, and I'm gay, and I came to terms with that earlier this year and have been processing it. And I'm emotional, but I'm emotional in like such a good, happy, positive way. I'm like the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life.
Underwood, who's 29 years old, also did apologize to all the women on the show, saying he wished he hadn't dragged all those people into the mess of figuring out who he was. I want to ask what you guys think about that. And also, why is there not a gay bachelor?
Does there need to be a gay bachelor?
Like, how many eyeballs are they missing by that whole gay audience?
But does there need to be a gay bachelor?
I would think if I'm in advertising, there should be.
Tori,
I'd be making money.
We work in an industry where we are around brilliant gay producers, gay writers, gay directors. You can have your own show. Why do we have to make The Bachelor the standout, the show for when it comes to relationships, black relationships or interracial relationships? I think we're giving too much power to The Bachelor. RuPaul had the Drag Race, very successful. There have been other shows that have been powered by LGBTQ people. Why do we need The Bachelor
because it's normalized.
to do it?
The Bachelor's normalized. It's mainstream. And if you're going to mainstream and normalize same-sex marriage, you have The Bachelor do it. If not, you're missing a lot of audience. What do you think, Erica?
I think that representation matters, and I think that when we're looking at the history of the Bachelor franchise and where it's ended up now, where there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of that has to do with the fact that the representation was lacking, and when the representation did get there, it wasn't necessarily handled to the best of anyone's ability. But that's for the audience to decide. I think that, yes, there absolutely could be a gay Bachelor, but I want to talk about Colton because I watched this interview, and I felt like so much relief and happiness inside.
You could like feel it for him.
Yes, because anyone who has been in my life that hasn't lived their most open life, or even when I wasn't living my most open life, you become very one-dimensional. And it's hard to connect with a one-dimensional person when they're navigating the world the way that they feel like they should be navigating the world. And in that interview, especially with Robin Roberts, I'm looking at her, who also offered a piece of her testimony as well, which I thought was so important as a black female lesbian reporter covering this. She said she had to be right there in the room with him, and I thought it was just very powerful. And I know that this is so meaningful to so many people, because you have a man in 2021 who is seen by so many people, know his name, they know his face, and he didn't feel free to be who he was. And hopefully that emancipates someone else, and I thought it was beautifully done.
Amen. And I think when he ran over that fence, there was a sense of running away from himself in that. There was a lot of visual imagery in there that really was like, I'm so relieved he's who he is. And his face looks better. You know, he just looks better. He sounds better. So bravo to being your true self. Before we go to break, we do have to give a big DBL shout out to this. This is the best Packer we've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
So this is a lifetime of possessions. It's all on one pickup truck. A quick warning to our viewers, please don't attempt this yourself, as it could be quite dangerous. This was filmed in Mexico and proves that, yes, you can move every single piece of furniture you own all in one trip.
That's the friend you call when you need to move.
Absolutely.
Like, that's insane. We have to give a special mention, of course, to the tiny, tiny little ropes that seem to be holding this whole house worth of stuff together.
It's the little things that carry the bigger things, but he needs his own reality show now. Forget hoarders. This woman needs their own show.
Packers, just the Packers. It just works out that way. All right, tell us what you think. Coming up on DBL, the most famous astrophysicist on the planet, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He joins us to blow our minds about space, plus the latest on the controversial Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. We've got the symptoms that you need to watch out for if you've gotten that shot, so stay tuned.
Closed captioning provided by
Spank or not to spank has been an ongoing debate for many parents. Now a new study says using physical punishment on kids can do real harm later in life. Let's connect the dots. Scientists have been studying the effects of spanking and physical punishment on children for decades. And in that time, research linked severe discipline to behavioral and psychological problems. So much so that the American Academy of Pediatrics issued a new policy in 2018 saying that physical punishment not only didn't work, but also did damage. Despite that research, some question whether or not those children who were spanked would have turned out antisocial anyway, thanks to a genetic predisposition. So now a professor at the University of Texas has taken on the nature versus nurture debate in a new study that looked at twins, including over 400 pairs of identical twins, many of whom were disciplined differently by their parents. So what did this Texas researcher find? For identical twins who were punished differently, the twins subjected to spanking or yelling was more likely to eventually show antisocial behavior. In fact, the professor went so far to say harsh punishment was linked to more behavior problems, not fewer.
Welcome back to DBL. Big shout out to our coworkers tuning in from home during the pandemic. There's Jody. I see Aaron up there. Hi, Aaron. Miss you guys. All right, well, we've got some more information for you about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So all 50 states have now paused the use of the single-shot COVID vaccine over concerns about blood clots. But the CDC Advisory Committee is meeting and could vote to resume its use with updated recommendations as soon as today. Meantime, Dr. Fauci has a warning for women specifically who recently received that shot. So if you are, take a look at this.
It appears that this adverse event occurs within between 6 days and 13 days. So if you're beyond 4 weeks and you've had it a month or two ago, I think you really don't need to worry about anything.
All right, now the symptoms you do want to be on the lookout for include severe headaches, persistent abdominal or tummy pain or leg pain, and increasing shortness of breath. Now, in a related note, Mick Jagger and Dave Grohl are out with a surprisingly new COVID song. It's called Easy Sleazy. Let's see what you think.
I liked it. It was better than that TikTok dance, wash your hands song we were dancing to last year at this time. Like, remember that?
When are you supposed to listen to something like this?
Oh, I don't.
Did you enjoy it, Erica? I didn't. Like, what? That is weird.
It was a choice.
It was a choice.
It's a choice.
It was a path taken.
But as to go back to, would you take the J&J vaccine? Now, I personally would, because they were saying it was what women from the ages of
18 to about 45,
to about 45, and plus, like, them pulling this early like this, like, I look at it as because there's so much going on when it comes to this vaccine. I mean, just think about it. Remember that information that came out when rapper DMX died, and people were saying, oh, he took the vaccine. They tried to attribute that heart attack to him. So I see them, the reason why they're pulling that, because they didn't want all types of misinformation maybe spreading around the internet, because you want people to be confident in taking this shot, because we need people inoculated to get the world back to going to how it was.
Yeah, I think that some people had some pretty severe reactions, and it's been being pulled for precautionary measures. And I think we all kind of expected that we would hear of adverse reactions in some capacity. But I mean, at this point, the truth is we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know. This is a great Buddhist statement from you, Erica Cobb. I'll also say that blood clots for women are 1 in 1,000 in terms of birth control. So this is 1 in 1,000,000. It's I'm glad they're taking precautions, but I don't want anyone to not take the shot because of this. Just be very cautious of their symptoms. It's a big deal, and they're going to follow up, and I bet they're going to give it to men and women over the ages maybe 50, 60 is what.
So do you think this them doing this? Do you think this scares the people a little bit more, or has us have a little bit more confidence in them for pulling it and saying, hey, let's do some more studies and then we'll figure it out down the line?
I think people have already made up their minds, and some people might be on the fence and they're going to either do it or not do it based on what their lifestyle is. A lot of people are weighing the idea that this might be a last for someone in their life, and you want to have that moment and that time with them. So I think there's a lot of other factors that go into whether people are going to take the vaccine or not.
A lot of factors. I think we can all agree, though, that that song was horrible. Coming up on DBL, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is here to talk life beyond Earth and the mysteries of space. Yeah, it's awesome. Don't go away.
So this claim comes from a recent real-world study that shows Pfizer and Moderna are 90% effective. But one news article in particular said that translated into reality, this means for every million fully vaccinated people who fly, some 100,000 could still become infected. But is that a fair estimate? So let's verify. Does 90% effectiveness mean out of a million vaccinated people, 100,000 will still get sick? To keep it simple, we're looking at this in the context of flying, since that's the context of the original claim. Our sources are the CDC and 3 separate studies on in-flight transmission of COVID-19. First, we need to define effectiveness. The CDC says it's a measure of how much a vaccine reduces disease risk compared to an unvaccinated group. So if your vaccine is 90% effective, that means a vaccinated person's risk is 90% lower than the risk of someone who isn't. It also means the 100,000 infected out of 1 million vaccinated scenario is based on the assumption that every single unvaccinated person who flies gets COVID-19. Now, common sense would tell us that's not happening, but to be sure, we looked at several studies on how COVID transmits on planes, and we found even on flights where COVID-positive people were on board, transmission was limited, and certainly not 100%. So we can verify 90% effectiveness does not necessarily translate to 100,000 people infected for every million people vaccinated. In fact, in most real-world scenarios where COVID transmission is not a 100% guarantee anyways, that number is likely less. With your Verify, I'm Vanessa Lucas.
The cosmic calendar begins on January 1st with the birth of our universe. It contains everything that's happened since then up to now, which on this calendar is midnight, December 31st. On this scale, every month represents about 1 billion years. Every day represents nearly 40 million years. Let's go back as far as we can to the very first moment of the universe.
Mind blown. Welcome back to DBL. That was world-renowned astrophysicist and educator Neil deGrasse Tyson. We caught up with him earlier. It was so exciting to talk about his mind-blowing new book, Cosmic Queries. Check it out. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's here with us today to celebrate his new book. We have it right here, Cosmic Queries, which narrows down some of the biggest questions about the universe, and probably one of the biggest questions we all have. Are we alone in the universe? How do you answer that question, and what do you think?
Yeah, that's an entire section of the book. That's right. Are we alone in the universe?
Reader's Digest version, please, if you will.
Just to be clear, this book is not just random cosmic questions people have had. It's the deepest cosmic questions people have ever had. How did it all begin? What's it all made of? What is our place in the universe? Are we alone? How will it all end? And it's a spin-off of a very popular variant of my Star Talk podcast. It's called Star Talk Cosmic Queries, where people ask questions. And I love it because I get to respond to people's curiosity rather than me assuming that I might know where you're coming from. So I love it when people get to come to me. And you want to know if we're alone in the universe? I'm going to say probably not alone. And yes. Yeah, until the alien shows up on your doorstep.
That's true. I think they're empathetic beings.
We'll see how enthusiastic you are.
Neil, I think they're super empathetic beings, and I'm not afraid if they show up on my doorstep. That's so Sam. I love it.
You know, that's can I tell you how deep that is? Because practically every alien movie portrays them as evil, wanting to kill us. And so we have this sense that aliens are evil when in fact we have no knowledge about whether they're evil. But you know what we do have knowledge of? How we treat one another when we have a high technology civilization encountering a lower technology civilization. It never bodes well for the lower technology civilization. It never has throughout the history of exploration. So I think we are creating a mirror to ourselves as we construct the conduct of aliens. And so I gotta give you some credit there because maybe the aliens are nicer than we are.
Nice. I think so.
Neil, I got to pay you a compliment. You always get that weird question. If you could have dinner with anybody alive or dead, who would that be? I got to tell you, Neil, you would be on my list. Definitely.
Oh, thank you.
You would definitely be on my list. It'd be me, you, and Leonardo da Vinci.
Well, it depends on what you serve. What's for dinner? But I'm a little bit of a foodie, so I might be picky.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I'm a little bit of a foodie, so I might be picky when I get the invitation.
So is Jeff, though.
Leonardo's a vegetarian, so we're going to have to work around that. I don't know. But real quickly, Neil, before we go, maybe not in our lifetime, but do you think it's possible for humans to colonize somewhere in space in the future?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. The question is, why would you do it? All right, and here's what, okay, so let's say Mars, right? Mars has a 24-hour day. It has seasons, all right? It's not 900 degrees Fahrenheit like Venus, where if you go to Venus, you would vaporize. So Mars, like, why not? But to do it, you'd have to like build a habitat module there. And then when you go there, you're living sort of on Earth on Mars. And then it's not really living on Mars. So you got to terraform Mars. Then you could just step off the ship and live there. Problem is, all right, why would you want to live there? Did something bad happen on Earth? Did we mess up the climate? Well, if you have the power of geoengineering to turn Mars into Earth by terraforming it, you can turn Earth into Earth.
That's a great point. That's a beautiful point.
Oh my God, he's so
very
smart.
Profound. Everybody, hey, so number one, thank you so much, Neil, but I want our DBL Nation to pick up your copy of Neil deGrasse Tyson's new book, Cosmic Queries. It will have all your answers about Star Talk. We appreciate you so much, Neil. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
We've all got something.
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. Well, scammers are targeting older adults with these 3 top scams. First up, we got Medicare. Con artists are calling people telling them to get the new Medicare chip card. Then they ask for an ID number. It is all fake. So make sure you tell your loved ones. Number 2, COVID vaccines. If someone asks you to pay for it, do not. They are always free 100%. And third, Zoom. We got phishing emails by clicking fake Zoom links in an email. You can actually unknowingly download malicious software on your computer and open yourself up to identity theft, When it comes to your financial assets, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. Man, they're like viruses. They adapt, don't they?
Oh yeah, just remember, as technology optimizes, so do scammers.
Ooh.
So that's we always have to be on our toes.
On our toes and get LifeLock. That's brilliant. All right, goodbye to all of our brilliant and beautiful coworkers at home. Thank you for all the work you do. We're new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Same time, same place.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Another night of protests in Minneapolis after the police killing of Daunte Wright. The big question now, what will happen to the officer involved? Former Bachelor star Colton Underwood comes out as gay.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time.
What led to him finally living his truth. And Mayim Bialik is on DBL today talking about everything from her days on Blossom to guest hosting Jeopardy.
We continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
No. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, April 14th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Let's get right to it because we are continuing to follow the fallout from the shooting death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. Prosecutors have arrested and charged the officer involved, Kimberly Potter, with second-degree manslaughter. Police say she shot Wright after mistakenly grabbing her gun instead of her taser. The address of the officer's house was leaked online, and DailyMail.com got video of barriers and fencing being put up around it. Meantime, Wright's family held a joint press conference with their attorney, Ben Crump, along with George Floyd's family outside the courthouse where Derek Chauvin is on trial, demanding justice for both families. And for a third night, protests continued after the 10 p.m. curfew. There were some confrontations with police, leading to more than 70 arrests. We're also learning more about the warrant that was out for Daunte Wright. According to court records, it was related to an armed robbery case. Now, going back to second-degree manslaughter, Erica, that is 10 years, maximum 10 years, I believe a $20,000 fine. Do you think that is enough of a charge?
Honestly, Sam, I'm sick of trying to even pontificate and answer this question. I mean, right now we are looking at basically we're finding out how much a black life is worth in this country based on the Chauvin trial, based on what's happened with Daunte Wright, and before that we were finding out with Botham Jean, and before that we were finding out with. So we're just waiting to see what is the going rate in 2021 on a black life and how much time should someone serve should they take one. That's what the jury's out on, and that's what we'll find out.
Al, what are you thinking today? You were pretty discouraged and hopeless yesterday. How are you feeling today?
I don't know if I was discouraged and hopeless. I mean, I could definitely see how that came off like that. I think I'm a lot like Erica. I think that you, at some point, Sam, whether it's your marriage, your job, your career trajectory, whatever you're stopping to take a look at, you have to say, objectively, how is this going? Not how do I feel, how is this going? And all the things that Erica, all the people that Erica just listed, I guarantee you if I asked everybody at that table to write down 5 police shootings, we would have different names. That's how many there are. Like, we haven't even talked about Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson. There's so many that we don't even, so how are we supposed to process this, Sam? How am I supposed to say, well, Ahmaud Arbery, his people got this, but then, Botham Jean, she just walked in and shot him, but they said he had weed on it. Like, there's so many different situations, but at the end of the day, they let you know that they'll get back to you on whether your life matters. And that's what's kind of disheartening, but at least we know the truth.
Right, wow. Before you chime in, Jeff, I do want to read comments because we're getting a lot of comments right now from our viewers, and we always want to hear from you. We have Section 31 on Twitter. Choosing the wrong weapon and killing someone instead of stunning them is manslaughter. I wonder what would happen if a doctor used a steak knife instead of a scalpel and killed the patient. Phillips Gerard on Twitter says manslaughter is appropriate. It'll be hard to prove that she actually meant to shoot him instead of using her taser, especially with the video of her yelling taser. It didn't seem to me it was intentional. Rebecca says she was grossly negligent, so she should have a higher charge than second-degree manslaughter. And DJM60 says it was a heat-of-the-moment accident that he brought on himself. She should never be an officer again, but he caused the outcome. Don't break the laws and resist arrest when you do. I just want to correct that. Police officers are not there to be judge, jury, and executioners, so that is a fact.
Yeah, I think the appropriate charge is manslaughter. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what this is. But if you take this single case alone, it is. If you take the proximity of George Floyd, everything happened, historical context, I see the frustration. I see why people want more.
People are sick and tired. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I agree with you, but I want to leave on this note because I think it just goes to show how unfortunately common this is, where you have two individuals who knew each other. So I don't know if a lot of our viewers know that George Floyd's girlfriend was actually, there we go, Daunte Wright's high school teacher. So yeah, it's closing in more and more and more. We're going to switch gears here completely, okay, to a really big entertainment story right now. Former Bachelor and NFL player Colton Underwood made a big announcement on GMA this morning. Take a look.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time, and I'm gay, and I came to terms with that earlier this year and have been processing it. And I'm emotional, but I'm emotional in like such a good, happy, positive way. I'm like the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life.
And Underwood, who's 29 years old, also apologized to all the women on the show, saying he wished he hadn't dragged all those people into the mess of figuring out who he was. Wow, Erica, this is so sad that he has not been able to be himself or live his truth for his entire life, for 30 years almost.
Yeah, I think this story is very relatable, and he talked about not having the courage to come out and state this before, that he was reconciling with himself, and I think that courage comes at the appropriate time. This is obviously a situation where he's admittedly put himself into the spotlight in a way to either force his hand of living in his truth, or that he said that he thanked God after he found out that he was going to be the Bachelor for making him straight. So it shows you how deeply rooted homophobia is, that someone would rather not live their life to the truest degree of who they are, or even take their own life, rather than admit to people that they are gay.
Right.
Yeah, you see the video, which is great because he looks visibly shooken and at the same moment relieved, right?
Yeah.
And look, you capture all those feelings in one. I don't know what it's got to be. I can't even put in my mind what it's like not living your own truth, right? For, in this case, 29 years and being the face of Bachelor Nation. And just that stereotypical, I played NFL football, I'm now the Bachelor. It's like, it's got to be tough for him, right? And to go out there and do that. I am glad, though, I do want to say, I am glad that he apologized to all the women, because at the end of the day, that was a dead-end road, right?
Right.
So I'm glad he did apologize.
Exactly. And there's also, we have a video here, a Billy Eichner Instagram video. Do we have it, guys, or did you just want me to read the quote? Okay.
Look for? No, the first thing I do, I'm gay. I know that's a shock, Colton. And that I think you should look into. Maybe you're the first gay bachelor and we don't even know. No. Put that in your promo. See you later.
Al, do you think there will ever be a gay bachelor?
Yeah, soon, I hope. Look, Sam, everything that we didn't know was possible. When we look at, like, if somebody had told you 15 years ago that there's going to be a show called RuPaul's Drag Race and it's going to be drag queens on TV, you would be like, that's going to be gone in 2 seconds. There's no way. This conservative country, that show's been on for as long as I've been alive. Because there's a lot of people that are entertained, and we keep thinking that the whole world is just straight people, and it's not. It's mostly not. So start speaking to them. They will watch. People will buy commercial time, and it'll be on forever. Trust that.
I love that. I love that. I hope they're listening to you, Al. Coming up on DBL, Justin Bieber gets real about his past drug abuse and what finally set him on the right path. Plus, actress Mayim Bialik, yep, from working with Bette Midler on beaches to her comedic roles on TV. She's going to tell us all about it. And the latest on the controversial Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, the symptoms you need to watch out for if you, like myself, have gotten the shot.
Closed captioning provided by
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, So we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources: the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. But many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Stu, we miss you, Stu. Keep up the great work, everyone. So we've got more information about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. All 50 states have now paused the use of the single-shot COVID vaccine over concerns about blood clots. But the CDC Advisory Committee is meeting and could vote to resume its use with updated recommendations as soon as today. Meantime, Dr. Fauci has a warning for women who recently received the shot. Take a listen.
It appears that this adverse event occurs within between 6 days and 13 days. So if you're beyond 4 weeks and you've had it a month or 2 ago, I think you really don't need to worry about anything.
And if you got it in the past 13 days, symptoms to be on the lookout for include severe headaches, persistent abdominal or leg pain, and increasing shortness of breath. In a related note, Mick Jagger and Dave Grohl are out with a surprise new COVID song, Easy Sleazy. Let's see what we think. Oh, yeah, it's pretty punk rock. I dug it. I feel like you guys are a little hesitant, or no? Yeah, not feeling it?
I mean, those are 2, like, iconic guys.
Yeah, but
this
it had
is
a
kind of
very
like a
Sex
TikTok
Pistols
video.
It had a very Sex Pistols vibe. I liked it. Al wasn't feeling it. Okay, so let's just move on to Johnson & Johnson.
I agree with Jeff. Dave Grohl is so famous. Mick Jagger is so famous. It's like, I don't know if they need to do that. That's like a safety ad video you'd play in schools. That was weird. Like, I was waiting for them to tell me to put my seatbelt on.
Not a safety ad video.
Yeah, I don't think they want to hear that part. But let's talk about Johnson & Johnson, because I really want our viewers to not be hesitant getting the shot. And this is me not negating or dismissing what those 6 women have gone through. One has lost their life, but we need to put things in perspective when it comes to numbers, knowing that almost 7 million people have been given the vaccine, myself included, and 6 have developed the reaction. 1 hospitalized, 1 passed away. May God bless her soul. We got to think about those numbers. It's the same thing when you take birth control. 1 in 1,000 women are going to develop blood clots, okay? And it's the same thing. You are more likely to get blood clots if you get COVID. God forbid you don't, than you are, and this is a great comparison, than you are to
to get the Johnson & Johnson shot. So I don't want any of our viewers to be discouraged. Of course, take every precaution, talk to your doctor. I'm glad the CDC is being overly cautious, as they should be, but I don't want people to be hesitant, Erica. I'm nervous about that.
Yeah, I think at this point, people are going to do what they want to do, and people who are on the fence are going to be swayed by something that's very personal. I know for a lot of people who I've spoken to, it has to do with the idea of making sure that they're able to connect with loved ones who maybe are older, and that standard of living. So I know that people are making choices based on how it affects them.
I just hope you make your choices based on fact, though. I don't want you to be misled by misinformation out there. So please, you guys, do your research. Coming up on DBL, reality TV star turned mogul Bethany Frankel is revealing the real person she left the popular Real Housewives of New York franchise, the real reason. But first, we're catching up with actress Mayim Bialik. She tells us what Blossom would be up to today, next in Chatting with the Stars.
Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the US. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. Actress Mayim Bialik got her big break in the iconic movie Beaches and has since starred in the sitcoms Blossom and The Big Bang Theory, 2 big ones. Now she has a new show and a new cause all about cats. Tori and I spoke with her earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Mayim, welcome to DBL. Your character Blossom was such a great role model for young girls like myself, kind of a super fan, keeping it cool. Where do you think Blossom would be today?
I don't mean to be a downer first thing in the morning, but we felt that with things like the Black Lives Matter movement, she would have been like, yes, I will be on the forefront of this.
Totally.
We felt like she'd really be a trailblazer like that.
I think so too. Or at NASA. I could see Blossom at NASA. Speaking of that, you played a neuroscientist on The Big Bang Theory, right? Or NASA, right? But you actually are a neuroscientist in real life. And I know there's a famous clip that we're going to be playing that shows when someone underestimated you or didn't know that on the red carpet.
How many people, not that you aren't a genius, but how many people think that you can solve calculus at the drop of a hat?
I actually was trained in calculus for several years. Yeah, I'm a neuroscientist, so you may not have known that.
And I just have always wanted to ask you what you felt in that moment when they were like, are the words hard to pronounce? And I know you used your real textbooks on set. That's how real it was.
I'm used to people assuming that I don't know things or that, I can't really be a scientist. So That was a very funny moment, but I love that it got turned into something that, a lot of young women have said, like, I felt so empowered by this, when really I was just like, oh, this happens all the time.
Wow.
So speaking of being smart, Mayim, you're going to be guest hosting Jeopardy. So now the question for me to you is, if they offer you that job permanently, would you take that job? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I mean, that's a dream job. And I have to say my experience, I did 10 episodes, was an absolute dream. My brain really works the way that show works, meaning I'm constantly thinking about things, saying things. You have to be very quick on your feet and have someone in your ear being like, cut to commercial, do this. I loved it. I love that pacing. So I'm very excited for my episodes to air, because I hope that people will appreciate the kind of host that I was, and really trying to do honor to Alex Trebek as well.
Should we continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
Please no.
All right, let's try it.
I'm gonna try it. Okay. What is the new show Call Me Kat on Fox about a single woman who runs a cat cafe? What was attracted to the character, Mayim? Oh, that was terrible.
That was bad. But I think she knows the answer.
No. Tell us all about Call Me Kat.
Well, I play an owner of a cat cafe. I'm a cat person in real life, and actually also excited to talk about Pro Plan Live Clear, which is sitting next to me and next to my cat. So I'm generally a cat person, but I've also partnered with Purina Pro Plan to talk about the first and only cat food that reduces cat allergens for people who are sensitive. So that's an unbelievable life changer for me. And there's something called the Live Clear Challenge, which you can take at proplanliveclear.com. And within 3 weeks of feeding this to your cat every day, on average, you see about a 50% reduction in cat allergens, which for someone like me who has a boyfriend who is sensitive to cat allergens, it's really been a life changer for us.
Before we go, your breakout role, I don't know if anyone asks you about this, but we weren't gonna let you go without asking. Was playing a young Cece Bloom. It was Bette Midler's character in Beaches, and it was an amazing role. And I just wanted to know, what do you remember about working with an icon like that? And what do you remember from working on that film?
I was 12 years old when I worked on that, so it was a minute ago. But I remember being really impressed at how quiet Bette Midler was, and how lovely and gracious, and that was a really important thing. Especially, I was very new in the industry. To meet someone who was that famous, who was still really humble and nice, was a really special part of that experience.
You can watch Mayim Bialik in Call Me Kat on Fox, My Family Will Be. And to learn more about the Purina Pro Plan Live Clear Challenge, visit proplanliveclear.com. Honestly, sorry to nerd out, but it was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Tomorrow on DBL, actor Dylan McDermott joins us to talk about his villainous new role.
There's something about the bad guy that I've always been, attracted to.
That's tomorrow, right here on DBL.
You do not want to miss that. Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Curtis says all officers should carry first 4 bullets of rubber. Rubber bullets should be first, the 4 after that, real bullets. Jan says, I bet they're going to have a gay bachelor show. That's the whole reason for the coming out. Interesting. Maybe he will be the first gay bachelor. And then we have Amy saying comply and don't die. Simple. It's not that easy. Erica, do you have...
those are some pretty random questions.
It's a mixture.
Yeah. I'm done trying to make sense out of nonsense with people who are committed to misunderstanding, so I'll save my breath.
You save it. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here is what's coming up. Did a twisted love triangle end in murder? The bizarre story in True Crime Chronicles. Plus, Justin Bieber is speaking from the heart and talking about his past inner demons. And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home as they work very hard producing this show. We love you guys. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. That's
yeah, Biebs.
Oh, Jeff is already fired up. That is Justin Bieber with his song Anyone from his new album Justice. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Jeff, the biggest believer I know. Do you got your Bieber socks on today?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your thoughts about all of this?
Well, let's do the story.
Oh yeah, sorry. I first wanted
maybe
to hear,
you're excited.
Well, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the song first, but let's get to the story, and then Jeff can give his thoughts on the story and the song. So Justin Bieber is opening up about his past drug use and how it affected his marriage. In a revealing interview with GQ, Justin said that his drug problem was so bad, security guards would come into his room at night and check his pulse to make sure he was still alive. He also told the magazine he was still sad and in pain, even after his success. So he used drugs as a numbing agent to just get by. Justin also said his first year of marriage to his wife, Haley, was really tough because he was still dealing with the trauma from his past. This is so big for somebody, you know, everybody thinks Justin Bieber has it all. He's good looking, he's talented, he has money, he has fame. It just goes to show that, you know, adversity, addiction, and even relationship issues don't discriminate. It's going to happen to him. It's going to happen to anybody. What did you make of it?
Yeah, you know, the Biebs is always growing as a person, and I saw, and like, I even laugh at myself when I'm saying that, but he's a great example, right? Like when Demi Lovato does it, everyone's like, good for you, Demi, like, way to go with the documentary. When Justin Bieber does it, for some reason, they're like, well, he's just a joke. He's a punk-like little kid. He's grown a lot. He's telling his story. He's sharing his story. He's only 27 years old. This guy's lived 3 lifetimes. You know, I'm proud of the Biebs, how he turned it around. To have your mind not there and to be spiraling out of control and to get that back and to get back in that seat and drive it forward, I applaud the Biebs for that. And people out there, you think like you don't like the Biebs. It's like the boy bands back in the 2000s. Oh, you don't like boy bands? But if I'm like Backstreet's back, you're like, all right. You're the first one. I'm like, sure you don't like boy bands. Yeah, get real.
Totally. Al, what did you make of his confession? Because I think a lot of people now more than ever can relate that, you know, they're going to self-medicate in order to make themselves feel better or in order to just be numb.
Well, I think, Sam, one thing we have not done a good job in this country is talking about depression, preparing every man, woman, child for the fact that they will probably deal with some kind of mental health episode in their life. What do? We say cover it up. Hey, now marijuana's legal. Go get some beer. And we don't address the fact that people are burying their feelings, burying past trauma with alcohol. And on top of it, alcohol is celebrated. When you see alcohol on TV, there's sparklers, there's beautiful people, there's dancing. And then when you show somebody like in rehab, it's in the bottom of a dirty YMCA. And we wonder why people don't want to go get help. But when you see somebody like Justin Bieber, that's really gotten cleaned up his life, found a woman a partner that loves him. Look at his face. Look how happy he is. And we never talk to people about just when you feel clear, when you don't have these drugs in your body, like how clear you are about what you really want to do and what really brings you happiness. I'll say this, and I don't want to block up the whole segment, but guys, I've lived a fun life, and I've been in situations that literally I used to watch like in movies and be like, wow, that must be really cool. Being home with my kids this weekend, I'll take that 10 times out of 10 with any VIP, with any celebrity, with any expensive anything. It's the people that love you that you ultimately want to be around.
Did you have something, Erica?
No, I think that
I know.
That buttons it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we are proud of you, Al.
Yes, we are, Al.
Yes.
You walk the walk. Okay,
oh, man. Thank you.
I love you. I love you so much.
There's a delay, so I know.
Believe me, we understand. Okay, so actor Hank Azaria is apologizing for voicing Apu on The Simpsons. Last year, Hank stepped down from voicing the character after more than 30 years. He faced backlash over the fact he is white and the character is Indian. The 2017 documentary, The Problem with Apu, looks at how some Indian Americans thought the character portrayed a negative stereotype about Indian people. Speaking on the Armchair Expert podcast, Hank said he took time to educate himself about structural racism and is sorry for being a part of the problem. Have a listen.
I was unaware of how much relative advantage I had received in this country as a white kid from Queens. I didn't think about this stuff because I never had to.
Yeah.
And there were very good intentions on all of our part. And we tried to do a funny, thoughtful character. And just because there were good intentions doesn't mean there weren't real negative consequences to the thing that I am accountable for.
Okay, so Al, you are a comic, and are you a fan of The Simpsons? Let me just ask you before.
The biggest laughs I've ever gotten watching TV just by myself are from The Simpsons. And I did the Young Comedians Montreal Comedy Festival with the guy that did this documentary. It's my boy Hari. He's hilarious.
Okay, so knowing that, what did you think about Hank's apology? And do you think, in your opinion, should white people ever voice characters who are minorities?
Do you guys remember Scantron? I taught middle school for years. They always had like D would be, you know, always and never, and you would always get rid of those. I don't want to ever say what white people should never do. Why? What? How do we know if it hasn't come up yet? What I did love about his answer, Sam and Jeff and Erica, is that he showed that you can have two thoughts in your head. We were trying to be funny. We thought this was going to be great. Turns out it hurt a lot of people, so we stopped it. Both can be true. It doesn't mean that when he left his house that day, he was like, I'm going to show Indian people how I really feel. He didn't say that. He was like, I took a swing. I thought it was funny. Some people were hurt, so we fixed it. And I think if we started looking at a lot of issues like that we don't have to demonize one side to move forward, I think we can move forward a lot faster.
I agree with the idea that it provokes conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, most people don't know a voiceover actor. We at this table probably know a whole bunch of them. And the truth is, when we have these conversations, and I've sat down with a couple voiceover actors for my podcast, and we talked about this black and brown voice, the idea that there is only a very small percentage of material worked out there for black and brown people specifically to audition for. And the reason why I'm saying specifically is because they'll get an agent or a manager who doesn't put them up for any other roles than ones that call for specifically black and brown talent. Now, on the flip side of that, white voiceover actors, if they can play the part, can still dip over into the black and brown voiceover territory. And that's a conversation that most people would never think of or be privy to. But through this conversation and the fact that someone's coming out and taking accountability, and that doesn't mean they need to be burned at the stake, he's taking accountability. It's opening up this conversation, and we're talking about it now so that that can be rectified within the industry.
Love it. Love the conversation. Okay, so Bethany Frankel is opening up about why she left the Real Housewives of New York City at the peak of its success. So Bethany was one of the original housewives back in 2008. She told Paris Hilton on This Is Paris podcast that she stayed on the show primarily for the paycheck, but left in 2019 because she was bored with the format. Have a listen.
It became not who I really was anymore. You can't do something out of fear, like just because it was a really good paycheck. It's just not what I wanted to be doing anymore. I didn't want to be having those conversations. I didn't want to be arguing about things that really don't matter to me. And I think it's changed.
Okay, Erica, so you and me love the Housewives.
Oh, yeah, girl.
What do you think would happen to the Housewives franchise if they started to have more substantive dialogue and subject lines? Or do you think it's the reason why I watch it is for escapism? Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be successful if it was a little bit more substantive?
Yeah, I watch as well for because it's, completely without what do I call inconsequential programming. But I do think that we're seeing what's happening now that social justice issues are being brought to the forefront on these platforms. And we see Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who really led an effort along with Tamika Mallory with Justice for Breonna Taylor. We've seen right now on Married to Medicine, the doctors go to the March on Washington and are actually doing the mobile COVID testing at a time when a lot of people didn't have the access to that. We've seen Tiffany Moon on Real Housewives of Dallas and having the conversation about what's appropriate, especially Asian American, Stop Asian Hate. This is all happening and converging on the same time, and I really do not believe that it's a coincidence.
I love that. And, you know, before Bethany left the show, we did get to see her kind of form her, we all know Skinny Girl Margarita and how big her brand is, but for her to start her philanthropic side with, you know, Be Strong, and we saw her go to Puerto Rico, right? And so I wish Bethany would go back, because I thought Bethany added a lot of not only the flair and the fun and the sass, but also the philanthropic side that I think a lot of the viewers would be into.
Well, I'm not wishing for Bethany back. You want to know why?
I know why.
Hashtag Team Ebony K. Williams. That's our girl.
I know.
That's our girl. First Black housewife.
She's going to kill it. Watch out for Ebony.
Yes.
Coming up on DBL, did a love triangle take a deadly turn, and did it end up in murder? The shocking story in True Crime Chronicles. And our DBL staff working hard at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by...
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, so we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources: the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. But many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Jamie Faith was attacked and killed outside his Texas home last year. His mysterious murder is now the center of a twisted love triangle. We have the latest in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Jamie and Jennifer Faith lived in Houston's Oak Cliff neighborhood. Jamie was 49 years old and working as a director of technology at American Airlines. The couple had just celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary. The next morning, they went for a walk with their dog in the neighborhood. It was something they did regularly. But this time, something went wrong. A man wearing a hoodie and face mask approached them just yards from their front door. He bound Jennifer's hands with duct tape and then took out a gun and shot Jamie 7 times. He died shortly later. 2 months later, Jamie's grieving widow gives an interview to WFAA News in Dallas.
I just hope that at some point, maybe this person can recognize the gravity of what they've done and feel some sort of guilt enough to come forward.
Jennifer seemed desperate for answers, believing it was a random attack. She told the public to be on the lookout for the suspect's truck.
Somebody has got to know whose truck this is because it's a black Nissan Titan extended cab. It had a Texas Ranger sticker in the back window, and so it was very distinctive from that point.
The public believed her. But once Jennifer gave consent to police to search her cell phone, it unraveled a tangled love triangle. Police found more than 14,000 text messages and calls between Jennifer and her ex-boyfriend, Darren Lopez. In them, she admitted to having an affair with Darren. Her public plea made her seem innocent.
If anybody knows anything, please contact the detective.
But police caught on. They found the matching truck and murder weapon at her ex's home in Tennessee. Darren was charged with murder. Shortly later, police arrested and charged Jennifer with obstruction of justice for deleting texts from her phone.
A lot of people delete text messages, and I know there's a lot, as I mentioned earlier, of not deleted, where she admits talking to her husband about her feelings about Mr. Lopez.
Police later learned the couple was having marital trouble, and Jennifer had a 5-year plan to get back with her ex. So was Jamie's death all part of a master plan?
Earlier, Tori and Al spoke with the reporter who helped break this case. Take a listen.
We're joined by WFAA reporter Alex Rosier. Thank you so much for being here. This is a story of such a twisted love triangle, okay? Jamie Faith was shot and killed allegedly by his wife's ex-lover. Now, you spoke with the wife, Jennifer, and she cried to you and was later charged for her involvement. What was that interview like, just personally? And did you have a suspicion about anything?
It's been one of the most fascinating cases I've covered in my entire career. I mean, she was so emotional when she talked to me, and I didn't have any suspicion. I was feeling so bad for her, really. But what was interesting about my conversation with Jennifer was she said to me, she pleaded to the public. She said, somebody has got to know whose truck this is. It has a distinct sticker on the back. Well, court documents came out the next day. When she was arrested, court documents came out, and it showed that the day after my interview with her, she went and texted her ex-boyfriend, and she said, I really think you need to take the sticker down off of that truck. She knew very well whose truck it was, and she was trying to get the public to believe her story as a grieving widow.
So, Alex, can you tell us what kind of relationship did Jamie and Jennifer have that it led to this? If Jennifer was unhappy, why not just get a divorce?
That's the big question that all of us really want to know right now. And the thing about it is, Jennifer described this incredible life in Dallas to me. When we talked in early December, she was telling me about how happy they were and how close they were, especially in the pandemic. They spent every day together. He was working from home as an American Airlines director, IT director.
Can you just tell us a little bit about who Jamie was and why so many people were drawn to this case?
It struck the community on many levels. I mean, first and foremost, who did this? You know, when we first hear, as the police described it to us, this was just a person who was gunned down walking their dog. One thing, Jamie, by all accounts, is just a respected person, a great employee for American Airlines, a son. He helped raise a daughter with Jennifer, and was very loved, and I think that's the greatest tragedy in all of this, is that a young person really lost their life as a result, and now Jennifer is in custody for obstruction of justice because of our interview, actually, in part because of her telling the public about that sticker and begging the public to come forward with answers about the truck when it appears she knew who the murder suspect's truck really belonged, who that truck belonged to.
Absolutely. Well, rest in peace to Jamie Faith. To learn more about this case, visit WFAA.com. The story is also the subject of a new podcast. It's got all the materials for a good podcast. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much, Alex, for your 360 degree on this, and also your interview, which kind of landed her somewhat in jail. So bravo to you. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement.
COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the US. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. Scammers are targeting older adults with these 3 top scams. First, Medicare. Con artists are calling people, telling them to get the new Medicare chip card, then asking for an ID number. It is all fake. Second, COVID vaccines. If someone asks you to pay for it, do not. They are always free. And third, Zoom phishing emails. By clicking fake Zoom links in an email, you can unknowingly download malicious software on your computer and open yourself up to identity theft. So when it comes to your financial assets, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. Whenever I get those emails that are asking me for things, of course I see it as a red flag, but if you click the actual email address, not the one that you see, the obvious one will show up and say like AT&T, and then you click the address and you see it's like this long and random digits, don't touch it, right?
Right. Or just get LifeLock, because let me tell you, and I get my push notifications. I'm like, I'll text Anthony like, what's going on here?
Oh, and so Anthony's in trouble?
Well, no, he's generally like, that's how we pay bills.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Welcome back to DBL. Al is back, and we love sharing your comments. In fact, Al, a lot of people talking about you. Mary Lou says, Al getting emotional about what really matters in life was incredible to watch. Brad says, Al should be a minister. And then we have comments from Colton Underwood about Colton Underwood. Sean says, as a gay guy, I totally understand where Colton is coming from, and I applaud him. Don says, every person has their own personal journey to the truth. It's never too late to live truthfully. Amen. Al, what do you think about being a minister?
Well, I feel like you stole my thunder with that amen, but no, I think it's better for me to just talk with you guys because you guys help bring out the goodness in me. I love y'all.
Love you, buddy. I want to go have a drink, well, not a drink, iced tea, an iced tea in South Carolina with Al. I feel like he's in
juice, and I love it.
I feel like it's springtime in the South. Al's got on his pastel jacket. We're gonna be hitting the streets of South Carolina.
Yeah, I said I look like a Southern banker, Jeff.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Another night of protests in Minneapolis after the police killing of Daunte Wright. The big question now, what will happen to the officer involved? Former Bachelor star Colton Underwood comes out as gay.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time.
What led to him finally living his truth? And Mayim Bialik is on DBL today talking about everything from her days on Blossom to guest hosting Jeopardy.
We continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
No. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, April 14th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Let's get right to it because we are continuing to follow the fallout from the shooting death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. Prosecutors have arrested and charged the officer involved, Kimberly Potter, with second-degree manslaughter. Police say she shot Wright after mistakenly grabbing her gun instead of her taser. The address of the officer's house was leaked online, and DailyMail.com got video of barriers and fencing being put up around it. Meantime, Wright's family held a joint press conference with their attorney, Ben Crump, along with George Floyd's family outside the courthouse where Derek Chauvin is on trial, demanding justice for both families. And for a third night, protests continued after the 10 p.m. curfew. There were some confrontations with police, leading to more than 70 arrests. We're also learning more about the warrant that was out for Daunte Wright. According to court records, it was related to an armed robbery case. Now, going back to second-degree manslaughter, Erica, that is 10 years, maximum 10 years, I believe a $20,000 fine. Do you think that is enough of a charge?
Honestly, Sam, I'm sick of trying to even pontificate and answer this question. I mean, right now we are looking at basically we're finding out how much a black life is worth in this country based on the Chauvin trial, based on what's happened with Daunte Wright, and before that we were finding out with Botham Jean, and before that we were finding out with. So we're just waiting to see what is the going rate in 2021 on a black life, and how much time should someone serve should they take one. That's what the jury's out on, and that's what we'll find out.
Al, what are you thinking today? You were pretty discouraged and hopeless yesterday. How are you feeling today?
I don't know if I was discouraged and hopeless. I mean, I could definitely see how that came off like that. I think I'm a lot like Erica. I think that you, at some point, Sam, whether it's your marriage, your job, your career trajectory, whatever you're stopping to take a look at, you have to say, objectively, how is this going? Not how do I feel, how is this going? And all the things that Erica, all the people that Erica just listed, I guarantee you if I asked everybody at that table to write down 5 police shootings, we would have different names. That's how many there are. Like, we haven't even talked about Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson. There's so many that we don't even, so how are we supposed to process this, Sam? How am I supposed to say, well, Ahmaud Arbery, his people got this, but then, Botham Jean, she just walked in and shot him, but they said he had weed on it. Like, there's so many different situations, but at the end of the day, they let you know that they'll get back to you on whether your life matters. And that's what's kind of disheartening, but at least we know the truth.
Right. Wow. Before you chime in, Jeff, I do want to read comments because we're getting a lot of comments right now from our viewers, and we always want to hear from you. We have Section 31 on Twitter. Choosing the wrong weapon and killing someone instead of stunning them is manslaughter. I wonder what would happen if a doctor used a steak knife instead of a scalpel and killed the patient. Phillips Gerard on Twitter says manslaughter is appropriate. It'll be hard to prove that she actually meant to shoot him instead of using her taser, especially with the video of her yelling taser. It didn't seem to me it was intentional. Rebecca says she was grossly negligent, so she should have a higher charge than second-degree manslaughter. And DJM60 says it was a heat-of-the-moment accident that he brought on himself. She should never be an officer again, but he caused the outcome. Don't break the laws and resist arrest when you do. I just want to correct that. Police officers are not there to be judge, jury, and executioners. So that is a fact.
Yeah, I think the appropriate charge is manslaughter. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what this is. But if you take this single case alone, it is. If you take the proximity of George Floyd, everything happened, historical context, I see the frustration. I see why people want more.
People are sick and tired. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I agree with you, but I want to leave on this note because I think it just goes to show how unfortunately common this is, where you have two individuals who knew each other. So I don't know if a lot of our viewers know that George Floyd's girlfriend was actually, there we go, Daunte Wright's high school teacher. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's closing in more and more and more. We're going to switch gears here completely, okay, to a really big entertainment story right now. Former Bachelor and NFL player Colton Underwood made a big announcement on GMA this morning. Take a look.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time, and I'm gay, and I came to terms with that earlier this year and have been processing it. And I'm emotional, but I'm emotional in like such a good, happy, positive way. I'm like the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life.
And Underwood, who's 29 years old, also apologized to all the women on the show, saying he wished he hadn't dragged all those people into the mess of figuring out who he was. Wow, Erica, this is so sad that he has not been able to be himself or live his truth for his entire life, for 30 years almost.
Yeah, I think this story is very relatable, and he talked about not having the courage to come out and state this before, that he was reconciling with himself, and I think that courage comes at the appropriate time. This is obviously a situation where he's admittedly put himself into the spotlight in a way to either force his hand of living in his truth, or that he said that he thanked God after he found out that he was going to be the Bachelor for making him straight. So it shows you how deeply rooted homophobia is, that someone would rather not live their life to the truest degree of who they are, or even take their own life, rather than admit to people that they are gay.
Right.
Yeah, you see the video, which is great because he looks visibly shooken and at the same moment relieved, right? Yeah. And look, you capture all those feelings in one. I don't know what it's got to be. I can't even put in my mind what it's like not living your own truth, right? For, in this case, 29 years and being the face of Bachelor Nation. And just that stereotypical, I played NFL football, I'm now the Bachelor. It's like, it's got to be tough for him, right? And to go out there and do that. I am glad, though, I do want to say, I'm glad that he apologized to all the women, because at the end of the day, that was a dead-end road, right?
Right.
So I'm glad he did apologize.
Exactly. And there's also, we have a video here, a Billy Eichner Instagram video. Do we have it, guys, or did you just want me to read the quote? Okay.
Look for? No, the first thing I do, I'm gay. I know that's a shock, Colton. And that I think you should look into. Maybe you're the first gay bachelor and we don't even know. No. Put that in your promo. See you later.
Al, do you think there will ever be a gay bachelor?
Yeah, soon, I hope. Look, Sam, everything that we didn't know was possible. When we look at, like, if somebody had told you 15 years ago that there's going to be a show called RuPaul's Drag Race and it's going to be drag queens on TV, you would be like, that's going to be gone in 2 seconds. There's no way. This conservative country, that show's been on for as long as I've been alive. Because there's a lot of people that are entertained, and we keep thinking that the whole world is just straight people, and it's not. It's mostly not. So start speaking to them. They will watch. People will buy commercial time, and it'll be on forever. Trust that.
I love that. I love that. I hope they're listening to you, Al. Coming up on DBL, Justin Bieber gets real about his past drug abuse and what finally set him on the right path. Plus, actress Mayim Bialik, from working with Bette Midler on beaches to her comedic roles on TV. She's going to tell us all about it. And the latest on the controversial Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, the symptoms you need to watch out for if you, like myself, have gotten the shot.
Closed captioning provided by
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, so we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources: the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. But many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Stu, we miss you, Stu. Keep up the great work, everyone. So we've got more information about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. All 50 states have now paused the use of the single-shot COVID vaccine over concerns about blood clots. But the CDC Advisory Committee is meeting and could vote to resume its use with updated recommendations as soon as today. Meantime, Dr. Fauci has a warning for women who recently received the shot. Take a listen.
It appears that this adverse event occurs within between 6 days and 13 days. So if you're beyond 4 weeks and you've had it a month or 2 ago, I think you really don't need to worry about anything.
And if you got it in the past 13 days, symptoms to be on the lookout for include severe headaches, persistent abdominal or leg pain, and increasing shortness of breath. In a related note, Mick Jagger and Dave Grohl are out with a surprise new COVID song, Easy Sleazy. Let's see what we think. Oh, yeah, it's pretty punk rock. I dug it. I feel like you guys are a little hesitant, or no? Yeah, not feeling it?
I mean, those are 2, like, iconic guys.
Yeah, but
this
it had
is
a
kind of
very
like a
Sex
TikTok
Pistols
video.
It had a very Sex Pistols vibe. I liked it. Al wasn't feeling it. Okay, so let's just move on to Johnson & Johnson.
I agree with Jeff. Dave Grohl is so famous. Mick Jagger is so famous. It's like, I don't know if they need to do that. That's like a safety ad video you'd play in schools. That was weird. Like, I was waiting for them to tell me to put my seatbelt on.
Not a safety ad video.
Yeah, I don't think they want to hear that part. But let's talk about Johnson & Johnson, because I really want our viewers to not be hesitant getting the shot. And this is me not negating or dismissing what those 6 women have gone through. One has lost their life, but we need to put things in perspective when it comes to numbers, knowing that almost 7 million people have been given the vaccine, myself included, and 6 have developed the reaction. 1 hospitalized, 1 passed away. May God bless her soul. We got to think about those numbers. It's the same thing when you take birth control. 1 in 1,000 women are going to develop blood clots, okay? And it's the same thing. You are more likely to get blood clots if you get COVID. God forbid you don't, than you are, and this is a great comparison, than you are to get the Johnson & Johnson shot. So I don't want any of our viewers to be discouraged. Of course, take every precaution. Talk to your doctor. I'm glad the CDC is being overly cautious, as they should be. But I don't want people to be hesitant, Erica. I'm nervous about that.
Yeah, I think at this point, people are going to do what they want to do, and people who are on the fence are going to be swayed by something that's very personal. I know for a lot of people who I've spoken to, it has to do with the idea of making sure that they're able to connect with loved ones who maybe are older, and that standard of living. So I know that people are making choices based on how it affects them.
I just hope you make your choices based on fact, though. I don't want you to be misled by misinformation out there. So please, you guys, do your research. Coming up on DBL, reality TV star turned mogul Bethany Frankel is revealing the real person she left the popular Real Housewives of New York franchise, the real reason. But first, we're catching up with actress Mayim Bialik. She tells us what Blossom would be up to today, next in Chatting with the Stars.
Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the U.S. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. Actress Mayim Bialik got her big break in the iconic movie Beaches and has since starred in the sitcoms Blossom and The Big Bang Theory, 2 big ones. Now she has a new show and a new cause all about cats. Tori and I spoke with her earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Mayim, welcome to DBL. Your character Blossom was such a great role model for young girls like myself, kind of a super fan, keeping it cool. Where do you think Blossom would be today?
I don't mean to like be a downer first thing in the morning, but we felt that like with things like the Black Lives Matter movement, she would have been like, yes, I will be on the forefront of this.
Totally.
Like we felt like she'd really be a trailblazer like that.
I think so too. Or at NASA. I could see Blossom at NASA. Speaking of that, you played a neuroscientist on The Big Bang Theory, right? Or NASA, right? But you actually are a neuroscientist in real life. And I know there's a famous clip that we're going to be playing that shows when someone underestimated you or didn't know that on the red carpet.
How many people, not that you aren't a genius, but how many people think that you can solve calculus at the drop of a hat?
I actually was trained in calculus for several years. Yeah, I'm a neuroscientist, so you may not have known that.
And I just have always wanted to ask you what you felt in that moment when they were like, are the words hard to pronounce? And I know you used your real textbooks on set. Like, that's how real it was.
Yeah, I'm used to people assuming that I don't know things or that, I can't really be a scientist. So that was a very funny moment, but I love that it got turned into something that, a lot of young women have said, like, I felt so empowered by this, when really I was just like, oh, this happens all the time.
Wow.
So speaking of being smart, Mayim, you're going to be guest hosting Jeopardy. So now the question for me to you is, if they offer you that job permanently, would you take that job? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I mean, that's a dream job. And I have to say my experience, I did 10 episodes, was an absolute dream. My brain really works the way that show works, meaning I'm constantly thinking about things, saying things. You have to be very quick on your feet and have someone in your ear being like, cut to commercial, do this. I loved it. I love that pacing. So I'm very excited for my episodes to air because I hope that people will appreciate the kind of host that I was and, really trying to do honor to Alex Trebek as well.
Should we continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
Please no.
All right, let's try it.
I'm going to try it. Okay. What is the new show Call Me Kat on Fox about a single woman who runs a cat cafe? What was attracted to the character, Mayim? Oh, that was terrible.
That was bad. But I think she knows the answer.
No. Tell us all about Call Me Kat.
Well, I play an owner of a cat cafe. I'm a cat person in real life, and actually also excited to talk about ProPlan Live Clear, which is sitting next to me and next to my cat. So I'm generally a cat person, but I've also partnered with Purina ProPlan to talk about the first and only cat food that reduces cat allergens for people who are sensitive. So that's an unbelievable life changer for me. And there's something called the Live Clear Challenge, which you can take at proplanliveclear.com. And within 3 weeks of feeding this to your cat every day, on average, you see about a 50% reduction in cat allergens, which for someone like me who has a boyfriend who is sensitive to cat allergens, it's really been a life changer for us.
Before we go, your breakout role, I don't know if anyone asks you about this, but we weren't going to let you go without asking, was playing a young Cece Bloom. It was Bette Midler's character in Beaches, and it was an amazing role. And I just wanted to know, what do you remember about working with an icon like that? And what do you remember from working on that film?
I was 12 years old when I worked on that, so it was a minute ago. But I remember being really impressed at how quiet Bette Midler was and how lovely and gracious, and that was a really important thing. Especially, I was very new in the industry to meet someone who was that famous, who was still really humble and nice. Was a really special part of that experience.
You can watch Mayim Bialik in Call Me Kat on Fox. My Family Will Be. And to learn more about the Purina ProPlan Live Clear Challenge, visit proplanliveclear.com. Honestly, sorry to nerd out, but it was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Tomorrow on DBL, actor Dylan McDermott joins us to talk about his villainous new role.
There's something about the bad guy that I've always been, attracted to.
That's tomorrow, right here on DBL. You do not want to miss that. Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Curtis says all officers should carry first 4 bullets of rubber. Rubber bullets should be first, the 4 after that, real bullets. Jan says, I bet they're going to have a gay bachelor show. That's the whole reason for the coming out. Interesting. Maybe he will be the first gay bachelor. And then we have Amy saying comply and don't die. Simple. It's not that easy. Erica, do you have...
those are some pretty random questions.
It's a mixture.
Yeah. I'm done trying to make sense out of nonsense with people who are committed to misunderstanding, so I'll save my breath.
You save it. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here is what's coming up. Did a twisted love triangle end in murder? The bizarre story in True Crime Chronicles. Plus, Justin Bieber is speaking from the heart and talking about his past inner demons. And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home as they work very hard producing this show. We love you guys. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
Is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. That's
yeah, Biebs.
Oh, Jeff is already fired up. That is Justin Bieber with his song Anyone from his new album Justice. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Jeff, the biggest believer I know. Do you got your Bieber socks on today?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your thoughts about all of this?
Well, let's do the story.
Oh yeah, sorry. I first wanted
maybe you're excited.
Well, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the song first, but let's get to the story, and then Jeff can give his thoughts on the story and the song. So Justin Bieber is opening up about his past drug use and how it affected his marriage. In a revealing interview with GQ, Justin said that his drug problem was so bad, security guards would come into his room at night and check his pulse to make sure he was still alive. He also told the magazine he was still sad and in pain, even after his success. So he used drugs as a numbing agent to just get by. Justin also said his first year of marriage to his wife, Haley, was really tough because he was still dealing with the trauma from his past. This is so big for somebody, you know, everybody thinks Justin Bieber has it all. He's good looking, he's talented, he has money, he has fame. It just goes to show that, you know, adversity, addiction, and even relationship issues don't discriminate. It's going to happen to him. It's going to happen to anybody. What did you make of it?
Yeah, you know, the Biebs is always growing as a person, and I saw, and like, I even laugh at myself when I'm saying that, but he's a great example, right? Like when Demi Lovato does it, everyone's like, good for you, Demi, like, way to go with the documentary. When Justin Bieber does it for some reason, they're like, well, he's just a joke. He's a punk-like little kid. He's grown a lot. He's telling his story. He's sharing his story. He's only 27 years old. This guy's lived 3 lifetimes. You know, I'm proud of the Biebs, how he turned it around. To have your mind not there and to be spiraling out of control and to get that back and to get back in that seat and drive it forward, I applaud the Biebs for that. And people out there, you think like you don't like the Biebs. It's like the boy bands back in the 2000s. Oh, you don't like boy bands? But if I'm like Backstreet's back, you're like, all right. You're the first one. I'm like, sure you don't like boy bands. Yeah, get real.
Totally. Al, what did you make of his confession? Because I think a lot of people now more than ever can relate that, you know, they're going to self-medicate in order to make themselves feel better or in order to just be numb.
Well, I think, Sam, one thing we have not done a good job in this country is talking about depression, preparing every man, woman, child for the fact that they will probably deal with some kind of mental health episode in their life. What do? We say cover it up. Hey, now marijuana's legal. Go get some beer. And we don't address the fact that people are burying their feelings, burying past trauma with alcohol. And on top of it, alcohol is celebrated. When you see alcohol on TV, there's sparklers, there's beautiful people, there's dancing. And then when you show somebody like in rehab, it's in the bottom of a dirty YMCA. And we wonder why people don't want to go get help. But when you see somebody like Justin Bieber, that's really gotten cleaned up his life, found a woman a partner that loves him. Look at his face. Look how happy he is. And we never talk to people about just when you feel clear, when you don't have these drugs in your body, like how clear you are about what you really want to do and what really brings you happiness. I'll say this, and I don't want to block up the whole segment, but guys, I've lived a fun life, and I've been in situations that literally I used to watch like in movies and be like, wow, that must be really cool. being home with my kids this weekend, I'll take that 10 times out of 10 with any VIP, with any celebrity, with any expensive anything. It's the people that love you that you ultimately want to be around.
Did you have something, Erica?
No, I think that
I know.
That buttons it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we are proud of you, Al.
Yes, we are, Al.
Yes.
You walk the walk. Okay,
oh,
so
man. Thank you.
I love you. I love you so much.
There's a delay, so I know.
Believe me, we understand. Okay, so actor Hank Azaria is apologizing for voicing Apu on The Simpsons. Last year, Hank stepped down from voicing the character after more than 30 years. He faced backlash over the fact he is white and the character is Indian. The 2017 documentary, The Problem with Apu, looks at how some Indian Americans thought the character portrayed a negative stereotype about Indian people. Speaking on the Armchair Expert podcast, Hank said he took time to educate himself about structural racism and is sorry for being a part of the problem. Have a listen.
I was unaware of how much relative advantage I had received in this country as a white kid from Queens. I didn't think about this stuff because I never had to.
Yeah.
And there were very good intentions on all of our part. And we tried to do a funny, thoughtful character. And just because there were good intentions doesn't mean there weren't real negative consequences to the thing that I am accountable for.
Okay, so Al, you are a comic, and are you a fan of The Simpsons? Let me just ask you before.
The biggest laughs I've ever gotten watching TV just by myself are from The Simpsons. And I did the Young Comedians Montreal Comedy Festival with the guy that did this documentary. It's my boy Hari. He's hilarious.
Okay, so knowing that, what did you think about Hank's apology? And do you think, in your opinion, should white people ever voice characters who are minorities?
Do you guys remember Scantron? I taught middle school for years. They always had like D would be, you know, always and never, and you would always get rid of those. I don't want to ever say what white people should never do. Why? What? How do we know if it hasn't come up yet? What I did love about his answer, Sam and Jeff and Erica, is that he showed that you can have two thoughts in your head. We were trying to be funny. We thought this was going to be great. Turns out it hurt a lot of people, so we stopped it. Both can be true. It doesn't mean that when he left his house that day, he was like, I'm going to show Indian people how I really feel. He didn't say that. He was like, I took a swing. I thought it was funny. Some people were hurt, so we fixed it. And I think if we started looking at a lot of issues like that we don't have to demonize one side to move forward, I think we can move forward a lot faster.
I agree with the idea that it provokes conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, most people don't know a voiceover actor. We at this table probably know a whole bunch of them. And the truth is, when we have these conversations, and I've sat down with a couple voiceover actors for my podcast, and we talked about this, black and brown voice. The idea that there is only a very small percentage of material work out there for black and brown people specifically to audition for. And the reason why I'm saying specifically is because they'll get an agent or a manager who doesn't put them up for any other roles than ones that call for specifically black and brown talent. Now, on the flip side of that, white voiceover actors, if they can play the part, can still dip over into the black and brown voiceover territory. And that's a conversation that most people would never think of or be privy to. But through this conversation and the fact that someone's coming out and taking accountability, and that doesn't mean they need to be burned at the stake, he's taking accountability. It's opening up this conversation, and we're talking about it now so that that can be rectified within the industry.
Love it. Love the conversation. Okay, so Bethany Frankel is opening up about why she left the Real Housewives of New York City at the peak of its success. So Bethany was one of the original housewives back in 2008. She told Paris Hilton on This Is Paris podcast that she stayed on the show primarily for the paycheck, but left in 2019 because she was bored with the format. Have a listen.
It became not who I really was anymore. You can't do something out of fear, like just because it was a really good paycheck. It's just not what I wanted to be doing anymore. I didn't want to be having those conversations. I didn't want to be arguing about things that really don't matter to me. And I think it's changed.
Okay, Erica, so you and me love the Housewives.
Oh, yeah, girl.
What do you think would happen to the Housewives franchise if they started to have more substantive dialogue and subject lines? Or do you think it's the reason why I watch it is for escapism? Do you think it would be successful if it was a little bit more substantive?
Yeah, I watch as well for because it's, you know, completely without what do I call inconsequential programming. But I do think that we're seeing what's happening now that social justice issues are being brought to the forefront on these platforms. And we see Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who really led an effort along with Tamika Mallory with Justice for Breonna Taylor. We've seen right now on Married to Medicine, the doctors go to the March on Washington and are actually doing the mobile COVID testing at a time when a lot of people didn't have the access to that. We've seen Tiffany Moon on Real Housewives of Dallas and having the conversation about what's appropriate, especially Asian American, Stop Asian Hate. This is all happening and converging on the same time, and I really do not believe that it's a coincidence.
I love that. And, you know, before Bethany left the show, we did get to see her kind of form her, we all know Skinny Girl Margarita and how big her brand is, but for her to start her philanthropic side with, you know, Be Strong, and we saw her go to Puerto Rico, right? And so I wish Bethany would go back, because I thought Bethany added a lot of not only the flair and the fun and the sass, but also the philanthropic side that I think a lot of the viewers would be into.
Well, I'm not wishing for Bethany back. You want to know why?
I know why.
Hashtag Team Ebony K. Williams. That's our girl.
I know.
That's our girl. First Black housewife.
She's going to kill it. Watch out for Ebony.
Yes.
Coming up on DBL, did a love triangle take a deadly turn, and did it end up in murder? The shocking story in True Crime Chronicles. And our DBL staff working hard at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, so we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources: the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about, you know, 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. So many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Jamie Faith was attacked and killed outside his Texas home last year. His mysterious murder is now the center of a twisted love triangle. We have the latest in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Jamie and Jennifer Faith lived in Houston's Oak Cliff neighborhood. Jamie was 49 years old and working as a director of technology at American Airlines. The couple had just celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary. The next morning, they went for a walk with their dog in the neighborhood. It was something they did regularly. But this time, something went wrong. A man wearing a hoodie and face mask approached them just yards from their front door. He bound Jennifer's hands with duct tape and then took out a gun and shot Jamie 7 times. He died shortly later. 2 months later, Jamie's grieving widow gives an interview to WFAA News in Dallas.
I just hope that at some point, maybe this person can recognize the gravity of what they've done and feel some sort of guilt enough to come forward.
Jennifer seemed desperate for answers, believing it was a random attack. She told the public to be on the lookout for the suspect's truck.
Somebody has got to know whose truck this is because it's a black Nissan Titan extended cab. It had a Texas Ranger sticker in the back window, and so it was very distinctive from that point.
The public believed her. But once Jennifer gave consent to police to search her cell phone, it unraveled a tangled love triangle. Police found more than 14,000 text messages and calls between Jennifer and her ex-boyfriend, Darren Lopez. In them, she admitted to having an affair with Darren. Her public plea made her seem innocent.
If anybody knows anything, please contact the detective.
But police caught on. They found the matching truck and murder weapon at her ex's home in Tennessee. Darren was charged with murder. Shortly later, police arrested and charged Jennifer with obstruction of justice for deleting texts from her phone.
A lot of people delete text messages, and I know there's a lot, as I mentioned earlier, of not deleted, where she admits talking to her husband about her feelings about Mr. Lopez.
Police later learned the couple was having marital trouble, and Jennifer had a 5-year plan to get back with her ex. So was Jamie's death all part of a master plan?
Earlier, Tori and Al spoke with the reporter who helped break this case. Take a listen.
We're joined by WFAA reporter Alex Rosier. Thank you so much for being here. This is a story of such a twisted love triangle, okay? Jamie Faith was shot and killed allegedly by his wife's ex-lover. Now, you spoke with the wife, Jennifer, and she cried to you and was later charged for her involvement. What was that interview like, just personally? And did you have a suspicion about anything?
It's been one of the most fascinating cases I've covered in my entire career. I mean, she was so emotional when she talked to me, and I didn't have any suspicion. I was feeling so bad for her, really. But what was interesting about my conversation with Jennifer was she said to me, she pleaded to the public. She said, somebody has got to know whose truck this is. It has a distinct sticker on the back. Well, court documents came out the next day. When she was arrested, court documents came out, and it showed that the day after my interview with her, she went and texted her ex-boyfriend, and she said, I really think you need to take the sticker down off of that truck. She knew very well whose truck it was, and she was trying to get the public to believe her story as a grieving widow.
So, Alex, can you tell us what kind of relationship did Jamie and Jennifer have that it led to this? If Jennifer was unhappy, why not just get a divorce?
That's the big question that all of us really want to know right now. And the thing about it is, Jennifer described this incredible life in Dallas to me. When we talked in early December, she was telling me about how happy they were and how close they were, especially in the pandemic. They spent every day together. He was working from home as an American Airlines director, IT director.
Can you just tell us a little bit about who Jamie was and why so many people were drawn to this case?
It struck the community on many levels. I mean, first and foremost, who did this? You know, like, I mean, when we first hear, as the police described it to us, this was just a person who was gunned down walking their dog. One thing, Jamie, by all accounts, is just a respected person, a great employee for American Airlines, a son. He helped raise a daughter with Jennifer, and was very loved, and I think that's the greatest tragedy in all of this is that a young person really lost their life as a result, and now Jennifer is in custody for obstruction of justice because of our interview, actually, in part because of her telling the public about that sticker and begging the public to come forward with answers about the truck when it appears she knew who the murder suspect's truck really belonged, who that truck belonged to.
Absolutely. Well, rest in peace to Jamie Faith. To learn more about this case, visit WFAA.com. The story is also the subject of a new podcast. It's got all the materials for a good podcast. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much, Alex, for your 360 degree on this and also your interview, which kind of landed her somewhat in jail. So bravo to you. We'll be right back.
We all know that
While health officials have now recommended pausing the use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the US. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. Scammers are targeting older adults with these 3 top scams. First, Medicare. Con artists are calling people, telling them to get the new Medicare chip card, then asking for an ID number. It is all fake. Second, COVID vaccines. If someone asks you to pay for it, do not. They are always free. And third, Zoom phishing emails. By clicking fake Zoom links in an email, you can unknowingly download malicious software on your computer and open yourself up to identity theft. So when it comes to your financial assets, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. Whenever I get those emails that are asking me for things, of course I see it as a red flag, but if you click the actual email address, not the one that you see, the obvious one will show up and say like AT&T, and then you click the address and you see it's like this long and random digits, don't touch it, right?
Right. Or just get LifeLock, because let me tell you, and I get my push notifications. I'm like, I'll text Anthony like, what's going on here?
Oh, and so Anthony's in trouble?
Well, no, he's generally like, that's how we pay bills.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Welcome back to DBL. Al is back, and we love sharing your comments. In fact, Al, a lot of people talking about you. Mary Lou says, Al getting emotional about what really matters in life was incredible to watch. Brad says, Al should be a minister. And then we have comments from Colton Underwood about Colton Underwood. Sean says, as a gay guy, I totally understand where Colton is coming from, and I applaud him. Don says, every person has their own personal journey to the truth. It's never too late to live truthfully. Amen. Al, what do you think about being a minister?
Well, I feel like you stole my thunder with that amen, but no, I think it's better for me to just talk with you guys because you guys help bring out the goodness in me. I love y'all.
Love you, buddy. I want to go have a drink, well, not a drink, iced tea, an iced tea in South Carolina with Al. I feel like he's in this.
Juice and I love it.
I feel like it's springtime in the South. Al's got on his pastel jacket. We're gonna be hitting the streets of South Carolina.
Yeah, I said I look like a Southern banker, Jeff.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Another night of protests in Minneapolis after the police killing of Daunte Wright. The big question now, what will happen to the officer involved? Former Bachelor star Colton Underwood comes out as gay.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time.
What led to him finally living his truth? And Mayim Bialik is on DBL today talking about everything from her days on Blossom to guest hosting Jeopardy.
We continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good. Please no.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, April 14th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Let's get right to it because we are continuing to follow the fallout from the shooting death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. Prosecutors have arrested and charged the officer involved, Kimberly Potter, with second-degree manslaughter. Police say she shot Wright after mistakenly grabbing her gun instead of her taser. The address of the officer's house was leaked online, and DailyMail.com got video of barriers and fencing being put up around it. Meantime, Wright's family held a joint press conference with their attorney, Ben Crump, along with George Floyd's family outside the courthouse where Derek Chauvin is on trial, demanding justice for both families. And for a third night, protests continued after the 10 p.m. curfew. There were some confrontations with police, leading to more than 70 arrests. We're also learning more about the warrant that was out for Daunte Wright. According to court records, it was related to an armed robbery case. Now, going back to second-degree manslaughter, Erica, that is 10 years, maximum 10 years, I believe a $20,000 fine. Do you think that is enough of a charge?
Honestly, Sam, I'm sick of trying to even pontificate and answer this question. I mean, right now we are looking at basically we're finding out how much a black life is worth in this country based on the Chauvin trial, based on what's happened with Daunte Wright, and before that we were finding out with Botham Jean, and before that we were finding out with. So we're just waiting to see what is the going rate in 2021 on a black life, and how much time should someone serve should they take one. That's what the jury's out on, and that's what we'll find out.
Al, what are you thinking today? You were pretty discouraged and hopeless yesterday. How are you feeling today?
I don't know if I was discouraged and hopeless. I mean, I could definitely see how that came off like that. I think I'm a lot like Erica. I think that you, at some point, Sam, whether it's your marriage, your job, your career trajectory, whatever you're stopping to take a look at, you have to say, objectively, how is this going? Not how do I feel, how is this going? And all the things that Erica, all the people that Erica just listed, I guarantee you if I asked everybody at that table to write down 5 police shootings, we would have different names. That's how many there are. Like, we haven't even talked about Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson. There's so many that we don't even do. Like, so how are we supposed to process this, Sam? How am I supposed to say, well, you know, Ahmaud Arbery, his people got this, but then, you know, Botham Jean, she just walked in and shot him, but they said he had weed on it. Like, there's so many different situations, but at the end of the day, they let you know that they'll get back to you on whether your life matters. And that's what's kind of disheartening, but at least we know the truth.
Right, wow. Before you chime in, Jeff, I do want to read comments because we're getting a lot of comments right now from our viewers, and we always want to hear from you. We have Section 31 on Twitter. Choosing the wrong weapon and killing someone instead of stunning them is manslaughter. I wonder what would happen if a doctor used a steak knife instead of a scalpel and killed the patient. Phillips Gerard on Twitter says manslaughter is appropriate. It'll be hard to prove that she actually meant to shoot him instead of using her taser, especially with the video of her yelling taser. It didn't seem to me it was intentional. Rebecca says she was grossly negligent, so she should have a higher charge than second-degree manslaughter. And DJM60 says it was a heat-of-the-moment accident that he brought on himself. She should never be an officer again, but he caused the outcome. Don't break the laws and resist arrest when you do. I just want to correct that. Police officers are not there to be judge, jury, and executioners. So that is a fact.
Yeah, I think the appropriate charge is manslaughter. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what this is. But if you take this single case alone, it is. If you take the proximity of George Floyd, everything happened, historical context, I see the frustration. I see why people want more.
People are sick and tired. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I agree with you, but I want to leave on this note because I think it just goes to show how unfortunately common this is, where you have two individuals who knew each other. So I don't know if a lot of our viewers know that George Floyd's girlfriend was actually, there we go, Daunte Wright's high school teacher. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's closing in more and more and more. We're going to switch gears here completely, okay, to a really big entertainment story right now. Former Bachelor and NFL player Colton Underwood made a big announcement on GMA this morning. Take a look.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time, and I'm gay, and I came to terms with that earlier this year and have been processing it. And I'm emotional, but I'm emotional in like such a good, happy, positive way. I'm like the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life.
And Underwood, who's 29 years old, also apologized to all the women on the show, saying he wished he hadn't dragged all those people into the mess of figuring out who he was. Wow, Erica, this is so sad that he has not been able to be himself or live his truth for his entire life, for 30 years almost.
Yeah, I think this story is very relatable, and he talked about not having the courage to come out and state this before, that he was reconciling with himself, and I think that courage comes at the appropriate time. This is obviously a situation where he's admittedly put himself into the spotlight in a way to either force his hand of living in his truth, or that he said that he thanked God after he found out that he was going to be the Bachelor for making him straight. So it shows you how deeply rooted homophobia is, that someone would rather not live their life to the truest degree of who they are, or even take their own life, rather than admit to people that they are gay.
Right.
Yeah, you see the video, which is great because he looks visibly shooken and at the same moment relieved, right? Yeah. And look, you capture all those feelings in one. I don't know what it's got to be. I can't even put in my mind what it's like not living your own truth, right? For, in this case, 29 years and being the face of Bachelor Nation. And just that stereotypical, I played NFL football, I'm now the Bachelor. It's like, it's got to be tough for him, right? And to go out there and do that. I am glad, though, I do want to say, I'm glad that he apologized to all the women, because at the end of the day, that was a dead-end road, right?
Right.
So I'm glad he did apologize.
Exactly. And there's also, we have a video here, a Billy Eichner Instagram video. Do we have it, guys, or did you just want me to read the quote? Okay.
Look for? No, the first thing I do, I'm gay. I know that's a shock, Colton. And that I think you should look into. Maybe you're the first gay bachelor and we don't even know. I know. Put that in your promo. See you later.
Al, do you think there will ever be a gay bachelor?
Yeah, soon, I hope. Look, Sam, everything that we didn't know was possible when we look at, like, if somebody had told you 15 years ago that there's going to be a show called RuPaul's Drag Race and it's going to be drag queens on TV, you would be like, that's going to be gone in 2 seconds. There's no way. This conservative country, that show's been on for as long as I've been alive, because there's a lot of people that are entertained, and we keep thinking that the whole world is just straight people, and it's not. It's mostly not. So start speaking to them. They will watch. People will buy commercial time, and it'll be on forever. Trust that.
I love that. I love that. I hope they're listening to you, Al. Coming up on DBL, Justin Bieber gets real about his past drug abuse and what finally set him on the right path. Plus, actress Mayim Bialik, from working with Bette Midler on beaches to her comedic roles on TV. She's going to tell us all about it. And the latest on the controversial Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, the symptoms you need to watch out for if you, like myself, have gotten the shot.
Closed captioning provided by
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, so we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources, the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. But many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Check out all our co-workers at home during the pandemic. Stu, we miss you, Stu. Keep up the great work, everyone. So we've got more information about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. All 50 states have now paused the use of the single-shot COVID vaccine over concerns about blood clots. But the CDC Advisory Committee is meeting and could vote to resume its use with updated recommendations as soon as today. Meantime, Dr. Fauci has a warning for women who recently received the shot. Take a listen.
It appears that this adverse event occurs within between 6 days and 13 days. So if you're beyond 4 weeks and you've had it a month or 2 ago, I think you really don't need to worry about anything.
And if you got it in the past 13 days, symptoms to be on the lookout for include severe headaches, persistent abdominal or leg pain, and increasing shortness of breath. In a related note, Mick Jagger and Dave Grohl are out with a surprise new COVID song, Easy Sleazy. Let's see what we think. Oh, yeah, it's pretty punk rock. I dug it. I feel like you guys are a little hesitant, or no? Yeah, not feeling it?
Not really. I mean, those are two, like, iconic guys.
Yeah, but
this
it had
is
a
kind of
very
like a
Sex
TikTok
Pistols
video.
It had a very Sex Pistols vibe. I liked it. Al wasn't feeling it. Okay, so let's just move on to Johnson & Johnson.
I agree with Jeff. Dave Grohl is so famous. Mick Jagger is so famous. It's like, I don't know if they need to do that. That's like a safety ad video you'd play in schools. That was weird. Like, I was waiting for them to tell me to put my seatbelt on.
Not a safety ad video.
Yeah, I don't think they want to hear that part. But let's talk about Johnson & Johnson, because I really want our viewers to not be hesitant getting the shot. And this is me not negating or dismissing what those 6 women have gone through. One has lost their life, but we need to put things in perspective when it comes to numbers, knowing that almost 7 million people have been given the vaccine, myself included, and 6 have developed the reaction. 1 hospitalized, 1 passed away. May God bless her soul. We got to think about those numbers. It's the same thing when you take birth control. 1 in 1,000 women are going to develop blood clots, okay? And it's the same thing. You are more likely to get blood clots if you get COVID. God forbid you don't, than you are, and this is a great comparison, than you are to get the Johnson & Johnson shot. So I don't want any of our viewers to be discouraged. Of course, take every precaution, talk to your doctor. I'm glad the CDC is being overly cautious, as they should be, but I don't want people to be hesitant, Erica. I'm nervous about that.
Yeah, I think at this point, people are going to do what they want to do, and people who are on the fence are going to be swayed by something that's very personal. I know for a lot of people who I've spoken to, it has to do with the idea of making sure that they're able to connect with loved ones who maybe are older, and that standard of living. So I know that people are making choices based on how it affects them.
I just hope you make your choices based on fact, though. I don't want you to be misled by misinformation out there. So please, you guys, do your research. Coming up on DBL, reality TV star turned mogul Bethany Frankel is revealing the real person she left the popular Real Housewives of New York franchise, the real reason. But first, we're catching up with actress Mayim Bialik. She tells us what Blossom would be up to today, next in Chatting with the Stars.
While health officials have now recommended pausing the use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the U.S. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. Actress Mayim Bialik got her big break in the iconic movie Beaches and has since starred in the sitcoms Blossom and The Big Bang Theory, 2 big ones. Now she has a new show and a new cause all about cats. Tori and I spoke with her earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Mayim, welcome to DBL. Your character Blossom was such a great role model for young girls like myself, kind of a super fan, keeping it cool. Where do you think Blossom would be today?
I don't mean to be a downer first thing in the morning, but we felt that with things like the Black Lives Matter movement, she would have been like, yes, I will be on the forefront of this.
Totally.
We felt like she'd really be a trailblazer like that.
I think so too. Or at NASA. I could see Blossom at NASA. Speaking of that, you played a neuroscientist on The Big Bang Theory, right? Or NASA, right? But you actually are a neuroscientist in real life. And I know there's a famous clip that we're going to be playing that shows when someone underestimated you or didn't know that on the red carpet.
How many people, not that you aren't a genius, but how many people think that you can solve calculus at the drop of a hat?
I actually was trained in calculus for several years. Yeah, I'm a neuroscientist, so you may not have known that.
And I just have always wanted to ask you what you felt in that moment when they were like, are the words hard to pronounce? And I know you used your real textbooks on set. That's how real it was.
Yeah. I'm used to people assuming that I don't know things or that, I can't really be a scientist. So that was a very funny moment, but I love that it got turned into something that, a lot of young women have said, I felt so empowered by this, when really I was just like, oh, this happens all the time.
Wow.
So speaking of being smart, Mayim, you're going to be guest hosting Jeopardy. So now the question for me to you is, if they offer you that job permanently, would you take that job? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I mean, that's a dream job. And I have to say my experience, I did 10 episodes, was an absolute dream. My brain really works the way that show works, meaning I'm constantly thinking about things, saying things. You have to be very quick on your feet and have someone in your ear being like, cut to commercial, do this. I loved it. I love that pacing. So I'm very excited for my episodes to air, because I hope that people will appreciate the kind of host that I was, and really trying to do honor to Alex Trebek as well.
Should we continue this interview, but all of our questions be in the form of an answer?
Yeah, I have one. I have a good one. That's good. That's good.
Please no.
All right, let's try it.
I'm gonna try it. Okay. What is the new show Call Me Kat on Fox about a single woman who runs a cat cafe? What was attracted to the character, Mayim? Oh, that was terrible.
That was bad. But I think she knows the answer.
No. Tell us all about Call Me Kat.
Well, I play an owner of a cat cafe. I'm a cat person in real life, and actually also excited to talk about Pro Plan Live Clear, which is sitting next to me and next to my cat. So I'm generally a cat person, but I've also partnered with Purina Pro Plan to talk about the first and only cat food that reduces cat allergens for people who are sensitive. So that's an unbelievable life changer for me. And there's something called the Live Clear Challenge, which you can take at proplanliveclear.com. And within 3 weeks of feeding this to your cat every day, on average, you see about a 50% reduction in cat allergens, which for someone like me who has a boyfriend who is sensitive to cat allergens, it's really been a life changer for us.
Before we go, your breakout role, I don't know if anyone asks you about this, but we weren't gonna let you go without asking. It was playing a young Cece Bloom. It was Bette Midler's character in Beaches, and it was an amazing role. And I just wanted to know, what do you remember about working with an icon like that? And what do you remember from working on that film?
I was 12 years old when I worked on that, so it was a minute ago. But I remember being really impressed at how quiet Bette Midler was, and how lovely and gracious, and that was a really important thing. Especially, I was very new in the industry. To meet someone who was that famous, who was still really humble and nice, was a really special part of that experience.
You can watch Mayim Bialik in Call Me Kat on Fox. My family will be. And to learn more about the Purina Pro Plan Live Clear Challenge, visit proplanliveclear.com. Honestly, sorry to nerd out, but it was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
We've all got something.
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. we consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they're recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
On DBL, actor Dylan McDermott joins us to talk about his villainous new role.
There's something about the bad guy that I've always been, attracted to.
That's tomorrow, right here on DBL. You do not want to miss that. Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Curtis says all officers should carry first 4 bullets of rubber. Rubber bullets should be first, the 4 after that, real bullets. Jan says, I bet they're going to have a gay bachelor show. That's the whole reason for the coming out. Interesting. Maybe he will be the first gay bachelor. And then we have Amy saying comply and don't die. Simple. It's not that easy. Erica, do you have...
Those are some pretty random questions.
Yeah, it's a mixture.
Yeah. I'm done trying to make sense out of nonsense with people who are committed to misunderstanding, so I'll save my breath.
You save it. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be a part of our DBL Nation. But if you are sticking around, here is what's coming up. Did a twisted love triangle end in murder? The bizarre story in True Crime Chronicles. Plus, Justin Bieber is speaking from the heart and talking about his past inner demons. And a big thank you to our co-workers watching from home as they work very hard producing this show. We love you guys. DBL is new every day. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. That's
yeah, Biebs.
Oh, Jeff is already fired up. That is Justin Bieber with his song Anyone from his new album Justice. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Erica. Al joins us from home. Jeff, the biggest believer I know. Do you got your Bieber socks on today?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your thoughts about all of this?
Well, let's do the story.
Oh yeah, sorry. I first wanted
maybe
to
you're excited.
Well, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the song first, but let's get to the story, and then Jeff can give his thoughts on the story and the song. So Justin Bieber is opening up about his past drug use and how it affected his marriage. In a revealing interview with GQ, Justin said that his drug problem was so bad, security guards would come into his room at night and check his pulse to make sure he was still alive. He also told the magazine he was still sad and in pain, even after his success. So he used drugs as a numbing agent to just get by. Justin also said his first year of marriage to his wife, Haley, was really tough because he was still dealing with the trauma from his past. This is so big for somebody, you know, everybody thinks Justin Bieber has it all. He's good looking, he's talented, he has money, he has fame. It just goes to show that, you know, adversity, addiction, and even relationship issues don't discriminate. It's going to happen to him. It's going to happen to anybody. What did you make of it?
Yeah, you know, the Biebs is always growing as a person, and I even laugh at myself when I'm saying that. But he's a great example, right? Like when Demi Lovato does it, everyone's like, "Good for you, Demi! Like, way to go with the documentary." When Justin Bieber does it, for some reason, they're like, "Well, he's just a joke. He's a punk-like little kid." He's grown a lot. He's telling his story. He's sharing his story. He's only 27 years old. This guy's lived 3 lifetimes. You know, I'm proud of the Biebs how he turned it around. To have your mind not there and to be spiraling out of control and to get that back and to get back in that seat and drive it forward, I applaud the Biebs for that. And people out there, you think like you don't like the Biebs. It's like the boy bands back in the 2000s. Oh, you don't like boy bands? But if I'm like Backstreet's back, you're like, all right. You're the first one. I'm like, sure you don't like boy bands. Yeah, get real.
Al, what did you make of his confession? Because I think a lot of people now more than ever can relate that, you know, they're going to self-medicate in order to make themselves feel better or in order to just be numb.
Well, I think, Sam, one thing we have not done a good job in this country is talking about depression, preparing every man, woman, child for the fact that they will probably deal with some kind of mental health episode in their life. What do? We say cover it up. Hey, now marijuana's legal. Go get some beer. And we don't address the fact that people are burying their feelings, burying past trauma with alcohol. And on top of it, alcohol is celebrated. When you see alcohol on TV, there's sparklers, there's beautiful people, there's dancing. And then when you show somebody like in rehab, it's in the bottom of a dirty YMCA. And we wonder why people don't want to go get help. But when you see somebody like Justin Bieber, that's really gotten cleaned up his life, found a woman a partner that loves him. Look at his face. Look how happy he is. And we never talk to people about just when you feel clear, when you don't have these drugs in your body, like how clear you are about what you really want to do and what really brings you happiness. I'll say this, and I don't want to block up the whole segment, but guys, I've lived a fun life, and I've been in situations that literally I used to watch like in movies and be like, wow, that must be really cool. being home with my kids this weekend, I'll take that 10 times out of 10 with any VIP, with any celebrity, with any expensive anything. It's the people that love you that you ultimately want to be around.
Did you have something, Erica?
No, I think that
I know.
That buttons it up. And we are proud of you, Al.
Yes, we are, Al. You walk the walk. Okay,
oh, man. Thank you.
I love you. I love you so much.
There's a delay, so I know.
Believe me, we understand. Okay, so actor Hank Azaria is apologizing for voicing Apu on The Simpsons. Last year, Hank stepped down from voicing the character after more than 30 years. He faced backlash over the fact he is white and the character is Indian. The 2017 documentary, The Problem with Apu, looks at how some Indian Americans thought the character portrayed a negative stereotype about Indian people. Speaking on the Armchair Expert podcast, Hank said he took time to educate himself about structural racism and is sorry for being a part of the problem. Have a listen.
I was unaware of how much relative advantage I had received in this country as a white kid from Queens. I didn't think about this stuff because I never had to.
Yeah.
And there were very good intentions on all of our part. And we tried to do a funny, thoughtful character. And just because there were good intentions doesn't mean there weren't real negative consequences to the thing that I am accountable for.
Okay, so Al, you are a comic, and are you a fan of The Simpsons? Let me just ask you before.
The biggest laughs I've ever gotten watching TV just by myself are from The Simpsons. And I did the Young Comedians Montreal Comedy Festival with the guy that did this documentary. It's my boy Hari. He's hilarious.
Okay, so knowing that, what did you think about Hank's apology? And do you think, in your opinion, should white people ever voice characters who are minorities?
Do you guys remember Scantron? I taught middle school for years. They always had like D would be, you know, always and never, and you would always get rid of those. I don't want to ever say what white people should never do. Why? What? How do we know if it hasn't come up yet? What I did love about his answer, Sam and Jeff and Erica, is that he showed that you can have two thoughts in your head. We were trying to be funny. We thought this was going to be great. Turns out it hurt a lot of people, so we stopped it. Both can be true. It doesn't mean that when he left his house that day, he was like, I'm going to show Indian people how I really feel. He didn't say that. He was like, I took a swing. I thought it was funny. Some people were hurt, so we fixed it. And I think if we started looking at a lot of issues like that we don't have to demonize one side to move forward, I think we can move forward a lot faster.
I agree with the idea that it provokes conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, most people don't know a voiceover actor. We at this table probably know a whole bunch of them. And the truth is, when we have these conversations, and I've sat down with a couple voiceover actors for my podcast, and we talked about this black and brown voice, the idea that there is only a very small percentage of material work out there for black and brown people specifically to audition for. And the reason why I'm saying specifically is because they'll get an agent or a manager who doesn't put them up for any other roles than ones that call for specifically black and brown talent. Now, on the flip side of that, white voiceover actors, if they can play the part, can still dip over into the black and brown voiceover territory. And that's a conversation that most people would never think of or be privy to. But through this conversation and the fact that someone's coming out and taking accountability, and that doesn't mean they need to be burned at the stake, he's taking accountability. It's opening up this conversation, and we're talking about it now so that that can be rectified within the industry.
Love it. Love the conversation. Okay, so Bethany Frankel is opening up about why she left the Real Housewives of New York City at the peak of its success. So Bethany was one of the original housewives back in 2008. She told Paris Hilton on This Is Paris podcast that she stayed on the show primarily for the paycheck, but left in 2019 because she was bored rather with the format. Have a listen.
It became not who I really was anymore. You can't do something out of fear, like just because it was a really good paycheck. It's just not what I wanted to be doing anymore. I didn't want to be having those conversations. I didn't want to be arguing about things that really don't matter to me. And I think it's changed.
Okay, Erica, so you and me love the Housewives.
Oh, yeah, girl.
What do you think would happen to the Housewives franchise if they started to have more substantive dialogue and subject lines? Or do you think it's the reason why I watch it is for escapism? Do you think it would be successful if it was a little bit more substantive?
Yeah, I watch as well for because it's, you know, completely without what do I call inconsequential programming. But I do think that we're seeing what's happening now that social justice issues are being brought to the forefront on these platforms. And we see Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who really led an effort along with Tamika Mallory with Justice for Breonna Taylor. We've seen right now on Married to Medicine, the doctors go to the March on Washington and are actually doing the mobile COVID testing at a time when a lot of people didn't have the access to that. We've seen Tiffany Moon on Real Housewives of Dallas and having the conversation about what's appropriate, especially Asian American, Stop Asian Hate. This is all happening and converging on the same time, and I really do not believe that it's a coincidence.
I love that. And, you know, before Bethany left the show, we did get to see her kind of form her, we all know Skinny Girl Margarita and how big her brand is, but for her to start her philanthropic side with, you know, Be Strong, and we saw her go to Puerto Rico, right? And so I wish Bethany would go back, because I thought Bethany added a lot of not only the flair and the fun and the sass, but also the philanthropic side that I think a lot of the viewers would be into.
Well, I'm not wishing for Bethany back. You want to know why?
I know why.
Hashtag Team Ebony K. Williams. That's our girl.
I know.
That's our girl. First Black housewife.
She's going to kill it. Watch out for Ebony.
Yes.
Coming up on DBL, did a love triangle take a deadly turn, and did it end up in murder? The shocking story in True Crime Chronicles. And our DBL staff working hard at home during the pandemic. Keep up the great work. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
A big announcement from the CDC and the FDA when they recommended pausing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 women developed blood clots after getting the shot. And look, there are a lot of statistics that are being thrown around right now, so we're going to dig into the numbers. Let's verify, are you more likely to see blood clotting if you have COVID than if you've gotten the Johnson & Johnson shot? Here are sources: the CDC, the FDA, and 2 Johns Hopkins University experts, Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos and Dr. William Moss. All our experts say that based on what we know right now, these risk factors are worlds apart. So far, only 6 women have been identified as having these CVST blood clots. That's out of almost 7 million Americans who have taken the Johnson & Johnson shot.
If that number 6 is all the cases, then we're talking about, 1 in a million. It's possible that there are more cases that will turn up in the coming days.
Meanwhile, it's a completely different story for COVID cases.
The risk of blood clots is much higher, certainly in individuals who are hospitalized and have severe COVID.
The worse your COVID-19, right? So say that you're sick enough to land in an intensive care unit, probability of developing a blood clot's about 31%.
So that's about 3 in 10 versus 1 in a million. Our experts say it's going to come down to a risk analysis when people decide to get the vaccine. But Dr. Galiatsatos tells us that the risk is incredibly low.
It's always hard as human beings to kind of conceptualize when you hear a case, it sounds horrible, like your heart goes out. But recognize that case is very low. I always think of the analogy of planes, right? We hear plane crashes. So many of us still recognize that's a low probability. I'm still going to go out and fly.
So we could verify that based on what we know right now, the risk of blood clotting from COVID-19 is much higher than the risk from Johnson & Johnson vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Jamie Faith was attacked and killed outside his Texas home last year. His mysterious murder is now the center of a twisted love triangle. We have the latest in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Jamie and Jennifer Faith lived in Houston's Oak Cliff neighborhood. Jamie was 49 years old and working as a director of technology at American Airlines. The couple had just celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary. The next morning, they went for a walk with their dog in the neighborhood. It was something they did regularly. But this time, something went wrong. A man wearing a hoodie and face mask approached them just yards from their front door. He bound Jennifer's hands with duct tape and then took out a gun and shot Jamie 7 times. He died shortly later. 2 months later, Jamie's grieving widow gives an interview to WFAA News in Dallas.
I just hope that at some point, maybe this person can recognize the gravity of what they've done and feel some sort of guilt enough to come forward.
Jennifer seemed desperate for answers, believing it was a random attack. She told the public to be on the lookout for the suspect's truck.
Somebody has got to know whose truck this is because it's a black Nissan Titan extended cab. It had a Texas Ranger sticker in the back window, and so it was very distinctive from that point.
The public believed her. But once Jennifer gave consent to police to search her cell phone, it unraveled a tangled love triangle. Police found more than 14,000 text messages and calls between Jennifer and her ex-boyfriend, Darren Lopez. In them, she admitted to having an affair with Darren. Her public plea made her seem innocent.
If anybody knows anything, please contact the detective.
But police caught on. They found the matching truck and murder weapon at her ex's home in Tennessee. Darren was charged with murder. Shortly later, police arrested and charged Jennifer with obstruction of justice for deleting texts from her phone.
A lot of people delete text messages, and I know there's a lot, as I mentioned earlier, of not deleted, where she admits talking to her husband about her feelings about Mr. Lopez.
Police later learned the couple was having marital trouble, and Jennifer had a 5-year plan to get back with her ex. So was Jamie's death all part of a master plan?
Earlier, Tori and Al spoke with the reporter who helped break this case. Take a listen.
We're joined by WFAA reporter Alex Rosier. Thank you so much for being here. This is a story of such a twisted love triangle, okay? Jamie Faith was shot and killed allegedly by his wife's ex-lover. Now, you spoke with the wife, Jennifer, and she cried to you and was later charged for her involvement. What was that interview like, just personally? And did you have a suspicion about anything?
It's been one of the most fascinating cases I've covered in my entire career. I mean, she was so emotional when she talked to me, and I didn't have any suspicion. I was feeling so bad for her, really. But what was interesting about my conversation with Jennifer was she said to me, she pleaded to the public. She said, somebody has got to know whose truck this is. It has a distinct sticker on the back. Well, court documents came out the next day. When she was arrested, court documents came out, and it showed that the day after my interview with her, she went and texted her ex-boyfriend, and she said, I really think you need to take the sticker down off of that truck. She knew very well whose truck it was, and she was trying to get the public to believe her story as a grieving widow.
So, Alex, can you tell us what kind of relationship did Jamie and Jennifer have that it led to this? If Jennifer was unhappy, why not just get a divorce?
That's the big question that all of us really want to know right now. And the thing about it is, Jennifer described this incredible life in Dallas to me. When we talked in early December, she was telling me about how happy they were and how close they were, especially in the pandemic. They spent every day together. He was working from home as an American Airlines director, IT director.
Can you just tell us a little bit about who Jamie was and why so many people were drawn to this case?
It struck the community on many levels. I mean, first and foremost, who did this? You know, when we first hear, as the police described it to us, this was just a person who was gunned down walking their dog. One thing, Jamie, by all accounts, is just a respected person, a great employee for American Airlines, a son. He helped raise a daughter with Jennifer, and was very loved, and I think that's the greatest tragedy in all of this, is that a young person really lost their life as a result, and now Jennifer is in custody for obstruction of justice because of our interview, actually, in part because of her telling the public about that sticker and begging the public to come forward with answers about the truck, when it appears she knew who the murder suspect's truck really belonged, who that truck belonged to.
Absolutely. Well, rest in peace to Jamie Faith. To learn more about this case, visit WFAA.com. The story is also the subject of a new podcast. It's got all the materials for a good podcast. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much, Alex, for your 360 degree on this, and also your interview, which kind of landed her somewhat in jail. So bravo to you. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement.
While health officials have now recommended pausing the use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are still being distributed. So how are they different? Let's connect the dots. Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines are new technology called mRNA to protect patients from coronavirus. But the J&J shot uses DNA instead. Researchers took DNA from the coronavirus and put it in something called an adenovirus. That is a common group of viruses that usually cause cold or flu-like symptoms. This one has been modified so it can't replicate in your body, making you sick. It acts as a Trojan horse to prompt your body to create antibodies against coronavirus. There are some advantages to using DNA instead of mRNA. It is more rugged, and that adenovirus helps protect the genetic material inside, which means the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more durable. It can be kept at normal fridge temperatures for 3 months instead of the extreme cold needed for Moderna and Pfizer's. J&J's vaccine works in similar ways as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not yet been approved in the U.S. While it has been approved for use in Britain and Europe, AstraZeneca's vaccine has run into issues. Several countries briefly paused using it after rare blood clots were reported, though European officials estimate that risk is 1 in a million.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. Scammers are targeting older adults with these 3 top scams. First, Medicare. Con artists are calling people, telling them to get the new Medicare chip card, then asking for an ID number. It is all fake. Second, COVID vaccines. If someone asks you to pay for it, do not. They are always free. And third, Zoom phishing emails. By clicking fake Zoom links in an email, you can unknowingly download malicious software on your computer and open yourself up to identity theft. So when it comes to your financial assets, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. Whenever I get those emails that are asking me for things, of course I see it as a red flag, but if you click the actual email address, not the one that you see, the obvious one will show up and say like AT&T, and then you click the address and you see it's like this long and random digits, don't touch it, right?
Right. Or just get LifeLock, because let me tell you, and I get my push notifications. I'm like, I'll text Anthony like, what's going on here?
Oh, and so Anthony's in trouble?
Well, no, he's generally like, that's how we pay bills.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Soon after the CDC and FDA recommend that providers pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, word started to spread on social media that the vaccine had been recalled. We want to verify, did the FDA recall Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine? With Verify, we like to show you our sources up front. We consulted the Centers for Disease Control, Food and Drug Administration, and Dr. Amish Adalja. He's a senior scholar in infectious disease critical care and emergency medicine physician at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Let's first look at the joint statement from the CDC and FDA. It says they are recommending a pause while they look into 6 cases of blood clots out of the nearly 7 million doses already given. This is an important distinction, according to Dr. Adalja.
Think about your DVD remote. When you hit pause, that means you're going to come back and hit the unpause button. So this usually is a temporary stoppage in order to kind of take a look at the data, take a look at the lay of the land, think about the risk communication messaging, and then move forward.
According to the FDA's website, a recall is a voluntary action taken by a company to remove a defective drug product from the market. Johnson & Johnson has not removed the vaccine from the market, and there is no medical proof that it is defective. The CDC also says vaccine recalls are almost always initiated by the manufacturer, not a government entity. The FDA approved this vaccine through an emergency use authorization, meaning it doesn't yet have the FDA's full approval. According to the FDA, Johnson & Johnson must continually review medical data related to its vaccine in order to maintain its emergency use authorization. And that's the reason we know about these 6 cases.
You have to remember that when you do a clinical trial, you're studying maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. That's very different than when you're putting a vaccine into hundreds of millions of people.
Now, there's no confirmation yet that the vaccine caused these blood clots. Scientists from the FDA and CDC will work together to see if there's any possible links moving forward.
The intention is that this will resume, and I do suspect the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will resume.
So we can verify the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has not been recalled. This is only a recommendation to pause giving out doses while it undergoes a review.
Welcome back to DBL. Al is back, and we love sharing your comments. In fact, Al, a lot of people talking about you. Mary Lou says, Al getting emotional about what really matters in life was incredible to watch. Brad says, Al should be a minister. And then we have comments from Colton Underwood about Colton Underwood. Sean says, as a gay guy, I totally understand where Colton is coming from, and I applaud him. Don says, every person has their own personal journey to the truth. It's never too late to live truthfully. Amen. Al, what do you think about being a minister?
Well, I feel like you stole my thunder with that amen, but no, I think it's better for me to just talk with you guys because you guys help bring out the goodness in me. I love y'all.
Love you, buddy. I want to go have a drink, well, not a drink, iced tea, an iced tea in South Carolina with Al. I feel like he's in
juice, and I love it.
I feel like it's springtime in the South. Al's got on his pastel jacket. We're gonna be hitting the streets of South Carolina.
Yeah, I said I look like a Southern banker, Jeff.
DBL's new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.